What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode we are finally beginning our journey through Mobile Suit Victory Gundam. Since Mafty's rebellion in UC-105, people have been returning to Earth, but the Federation controls the flow of immigration, and thus an influx of illegal immigration on Earth began. One of those illegal immigrants happens to be our young hero, Uwig. Do you say Ewan or Ewan? I think it's Ewan. Like many Gundam shows, we see the horrors of war through the eyes of a child, but this show takes it to a whole different level. You guys ready? Because this is going to be a depressing one. Let's not waste any time, and let's get into this. A young boy in a Shakyu is fighting against a Bespa soldier piloting a Zolo. The ZMT S12G Shakyu is a test mobile suit for data gathering for the next mass production mobile suits for the Zanscare Empire. It has a V-shaped antenna and multi-sensors in each bug eyes. Weapons include the beam rotors. This produces beam blades that spin to produce lift. This is developed by Bespa, but we've seen a rudimentary version of this on the Jovian's L-Copty. It also has the twin shoulder beam guns, a beam shield, a beam saber, a beam rifle, and a Gatling gun. The ZM S08G Zolo is a mass-produced transformable mobile suit developed from the Zolo. This is the first mobile suit to utilize the beam rotors for Zanscare. This is broken into two parts. The first is the top terminal, which is where the cockpit is located. It resembles a helicopter in this flight form. This allows the unit to perform bombing runs. The second part is the bottom terminal, or boots. This is unmanned and can also drop charges. The two combine to form into its mobile suit form. However, many pilots struggle to transform mid-battle, so most pilots just use the flight form. Weapons include a 9-tube missile pod, a beam rifle, a beam bazooka, a beam saber, depth charges, a Gatling gun, and Vulcans. The young boy is Uso. The Ballistic Equipment and Space Patrol Army, or BESPA, is the Zanscare Empire's army. The Zolo tears through the Shakyu. The young boy ejects in an escape pod and then jumps out. The Zanscare pilot assumes that the kid died from such heights. He takes the remains of Uso's mobile suit back with him. The Ligue Militaire has been a resistance movement fighting off the Zanscare invasion of Earth. They very much resemble the French resistance during the end of World War II. The Yellow Jackets, a branch of Bespa, recently bombed Uwig, which was formerly Prague in the Czech Republic. Ligue Militaire were supposed to meet a contact here. They eventually find their contact burnt to a crisp along with other bodies. Bespa didn't want something out, but they find a map on the burnt body. How did that map not burn? Marbe went out in a core fighter. She eventually stumbles onto Uso, but is gravely injured. Ligue Militaire stumbles onto the factory on the map to find the facility has been untouched, thanks to those poor, charred humans that didn't tell Zanscare about its location. This facility seems to be harnessing part of a mobile suit, one that connects to the core fighter. Katagina talks to Oin Young, the leader of Ligue Militaire in the region. She wonders if their sacrifice was necessary. Oi goes, "Oh, no, it's much grimmer than that. The same thing happened to all League outposts, not just Uwig." He bluntly states that they simply aren't strong enough against a real military. That's a huge concept to take in for a child. We haven't even made it past the first act of the first episode. Their goal is to simply get EFF to wake up and act. They can't win this alone. Nearly a century of on and off war has greatly weakened EFF. That, along with their typical apathy, forced Ligue Militaire to do something about the invasion. Uso flies the core fighter since Marbe is injured. He learns that the core fighter is a mobile suit. He takes the core fighter back to the rest of the team. The Bespa pilot from earlier is named Chronicle Asher. He is our Char clone for the series, and he wears a mask because he seems to hate Earth's atmosphere. He doesn't want to get that COVID, I get it. Chronicle takes off in the Zolo top. He finds the League's movements and begins firing on their temporary base. That is when Uso decides to launch the core fighter. He is out of ammo. The Zolo boots are being attacked, so he decides to connect the two parts, turning the Zolo into mobile suit form. The League sends out the core top and the boots to connect to the core fighter. The Zolo is able to destroy the boots, so they have to send out another pair. The League also seems to ride updated versions of the Wappa. These look slimmed down and refitted for civilian use, but these are referred to as Wappas in this series. The new pair of boots dock with the core fighter, and it transforms into Victory Gundam. The LM312 VO4 Victory Gundam is a modular mobile suit which consists of a core fighter, a top terminal, and boots. The core fighter can connect to the top to create the top fighter, and the boots to create the bottom fighter. When all three are combined, it transforms into a mobile suit form. It has a Minovsky flight system, which is a simplified Minovsky craft system. This allows the mobile suit to float in Earth's atmosphere and reach insane speeds. It also has hardpoints on its back, arms, and legs. The League will use data from this machine to create the Gun Easy. Weapons include Vulcan guns, a beam rifle, which doubles as a beam pistol, a beam saber, a beam shield, a beam trident, a beam bazooka, a quadruple missile pod, a Gatling gun, and disposable bazookas. You could tell that Impulse Gundam from Gundam Seed Destiny is heavily influenced by Victory. The two fight with beam sabers. Uso kicks the Zolo, destroying its sensors. Chronicle takes off in the Zolo top. A young girl, Shakti, says this is all because of what happened a few days earlier. It has become cliche at this point to start in media res and then flashback to how they all got there. But I must say it's getting quite old in Gundam. Someone needs to get Morty to push Tomino.
You like that? You want me to cut to 3 weeks earlier?
So anyways, 3 days earlier, Uso is parachuting when he is swept up into a fight by the Zolos and the Shakyu against the core fighter, piloted by Marbe. Marbe is shot, which is how she was injured in the first place. That is when Uso's parachute gets caught on the Shakyu, piloted by Chronicle. Uso gets into the cockpit and the two have an awkward and really long fight. Yeah, kick him in the dick! The mobile suit crashes into the river, causing Chronicle to fall out. Uso says, ooh, free robot, and takes off. Chronicle is amazed that they would resort to airdropping onto a mobile suit, not realizing this was all an accident. Shakti finds Marbe down and tries to help her, but Uso finds Shakti and says, let's just bail. Good luck, lady. Peace. Uso hasn't received the call to adventure yet. Stop denying your destiny, bro. Uso and Shakti live in a small house close to each other. He heads home to write to his pen pal, who happens to be Katagina. He tells her of his exploits in a mobile suit. A group of kids eat Uso's ham when they notice a huge group of Zolos flying overhead. They're planning to attack Uwig. The kids are Della Henrik, Warren Trace, and Susie Relan, or Relaine. They're originally refugees from Legrand. Or Legrain? I don't know, the show uses too many French words and I hate it. They tell Uso that Zanscare is resorting to using the guillotine. Bombing begins at Uwig. Uso is concerned for his pen pal, Katagina. Uso and his Hado head out to the Shakyu that he stole, but Uso runs into a Zolo on the way. The Zolo pilot thinks that someone stole Chronicle's mobile suit. The two begin fighting. He takes his beam rifle and sets it down while firing it with a string as a distraction. It's like a Home Alone sketch. The distraction works and Uso takes down the Zolo. Uso gets his first taste of blood. Chaos ensues in Uwig. All the civilians look like peasants from the 1920s. Come on, it's the future. At least one person would be doing a TikTok dance amongst the chaos. What up, fam? This is your boy. And today we are doing the Genocide TikTok Challenge. Uso rushes to the city to find a lot of dead bodies. He is randomly attacked by the civilians along with a missile buggy. The missile buggy is an off-road Elicar similar to what we saw in UC 0079. However, this has a 10-tube missile pod on the back. A lot of militias and civilians are still using old one-year war surplus. They don't realize that Uso is not from Bespa. However, Bespa comes in and incinerates all those rebelling. Brutal. A Zolo pilot approaches thinking that Uso is Lieutenant Chronicle, but they end up fighting each other. The Zolo attaches to some boots and transforms into mobile suit form. One surviving League member on the ground decides to blow up a factory, engulfing the Shakyu in flames. The Zolo pilot thinks that the Shakyu is destroyed. In the city, Katagina's father is trying to bribe Bespa into sparing their house in the chaos. Katagina says, this is why mom left you. He proceeds to give her a Wong Li slap. It's not a bright slap. Bright slaps are motivating. This is certainly closer to a Wong slap. Another mother dies in the streets, leaving a baby alone. Leave it to Gundam to make mommy murder a cliche. Uso takes down a Zolo top. The pilot escapes, but is instantly shot by the League. The League takes Uso in. Passes out and wakes up next to Katagina, who is taking care of the baby. The city continues being destroyed by Bespa. Chronicle finds the pilot that Uso thought he killed, but he is actually still alive. I'm pretty sure he also just shot a dog in this scene. They send a flare to their comrades. Katagina finds an old subway in the city. They flee in the Shakyu, and he drops off Katagina before joining the fight. Shakti and the kids are surrounded by Zolos when Uso comes in and fights the mobile suits. Uso is surrounded when the League uses the Gundam top terminal as a turret. It takes out one Zolo, while Uso attacks the others. He is able to get to safety. Uso meets up with the kids and the League, where Shakti is jealous of Katagina. They learn that the baby's name is Carl, his full name being Carlman Ducarse. What an epic name for a baby. Also, it's weird seeing a baby named Carl. All Carls start at 10 years old. Shakti is concerned about the upcoming war brewing. Uso tells the League that he has computer chips that they could use at his house. They learn that he has a giant server farm under his house left by his parents. Chronicle gets his red Zolo. He touches down and spots Shakti, who is taking Carl for a walk. Chronicle's comrades go off on his own and begin attacking the area. We will learn more about this later, but Chronicle has a I could do whatever I want position in Zanscare. He also judges his comrades who rush into battle quickly. Uso tells Shakti to follow the Camion while he goes to help. The Camion is a transport vehicle used by the League. This typically transports the core fighter and acts as a mobile base of operations. Camion is French for truck. Uso grabs a Gatling gun off the truck and goes to fight the Zolos. Chronicle is able to transform into mobile suit form, but Uso takes down a few mobile suits. They note that the Shakyu's base performance performance is better than before. Marbe launches in the core fighter. She joins the fight. She also notes that Uso isn't moving around enough. He is still a green pilot after all. Chronicle slices his Gatling gun in half. The Chemyon gets Marbe's attention so she could dock with the core top. This allows her to form the top fighter. Earlier, Uso and the League set up wire traps to set off giant beam cannons. Like it's Home Alone or something. One of Chronicle's comrades are led into the trap. The top fighter is shot and crash lands. One Zolo lunges at Uso, but his beam rifle vaporizes the beam saber. He takes out his own beam saber and stabs through the cockpit. That's a clean kill. You could reuse that mobile suit, but this causes Uso to have some existential dread. Chronicle shoots Uso, and he ejects out of the Shakyu, bringing us right back to the beginning of the anime. Back in the present, Shakti looks at Uso in Victory Gundam. After messing with his friend's spine, rude by the way, he disconnects the core fighter from the top and bottom and lands in the hangar. All the League mechanics are amazed by how young Uso is. He goes to find Shakti, who is now a young mom. She's too young, that's too much pressure to handle. Especially with Chronicle always creeping on her. One of Chronicle's co-pilots from last episode, Guillotine, survived, and Daddy needs his pain meds. He wants to avenge his friend, Sabat, from last episode who died. Fala Griffin, a Yellow Jackets commander, is informed that Gary is taking the God Zorla. As he takes the mobile suit, Fala lets him go so he could test the weapon. He heads out in the God Zorla. The ZMT S-13G God Zorla is an experimental ground-use machine. It seems to have better sensors than the Shakyu, but it wasn't selected for mass production. It does, however, have an improved beam rotor. It is equipped with Vulcans, a beam gun which doubles as a beam saber, a 9-tube missile launcher on the thighs, and a beam rifle. Meanwhile, Chronicle sneaks into the League base while Gary Tan attacks in the Godzorla. Katagina doesn't want the League to use Uso as a tool to fight for their war, but he wants to fight to protect everyone. He launches in the core fighter and attaches the boots. He goes in to attack Gary Tan. The Godzorla hides in the smoke. Fala and her team are in the Recarl. How do you make a show with a baby and a mobile armor named Carl? I don't know why that bothers me so much. The ZM-AO5G Recarl is a mobile armor for Earth use, but mainly used as a transportation vehicle. This can't be used in space, but we will later see that it can float on water. It has 2 fusion reactors and is designed with long-range artillery in mind. Weapons include a megaparticle gun and 2 beam cannons. They are watching the Gundam docking process. The 2 go in to stab one another. Victory is damaged while the Godzorla is split in half. Gary Tan gets out of his mobile suit and points a gun at Uso, but he doesn't stop. He threatens to use his Vulcans on him, but he doesn't. Uso goes, oh yeah, guns don't do shit to a Gundam. They take Gary Tan as a prisoner. Back at the base, Shakti wants to go back to Casarelia, their small village outside of Uwig. Katagina thinks he and Shakti should go back. Chronicle continues sneaking around the base while another attack by Bespa continues. As the attack goes down, he tells Shakti he won't die before learning about their parents' sudden disappearance. Chronicle saves Shakti from the rubble. She seems to recognize him. See, you shouldn't have been creeping. Uso launches in the core fighter. He goes up against Watari and his squad. For the first time, Uso is afraid. But he does something that even most adult anime fans can't even do. He pushes through it and perseveres. Got him. Uso splits up the 3 Zolos. They regroup and attack from below. Back at base, they work on giving Uso some cover. One Zolo just fires recklessly in the forest, almost hitting Marbe. Katagina and the kids use the Gundam beam rifle as a turret. As they fire, Suzy seems so mad that they miss and didn't murder someone. You gotta start when you're young. Chronicle is trying to figure out where they are taking the Gundam parts. He attacks one League member. They launch the core top and boots so Uso can transform. But one Zolo shoots down the boots. Uso says, I don't need no boots. He transforms into half a mobile suit and still handles business. As they prep a second pair of boots, Chronicle comes in and shoots Oi and Young. Katagina recognizes his face, just like Shakti. He takes Oi and Katagina prisoner. They flee on the shuttle, which they also call a Wappa. I guess just everything that hovers is a Wappa now. Suddenly, an explosion goes off. Uso splits 2 of the Zolos. One Zolo goes out of control and holds on to his comrade. He fears death and is useless to Watari, so he kills his own men. Uso witnesses this. The Chemyon launches the boots. Uso docks to form the Gundam. Watari knows of the Gundam legacy. He thinks because they are the ones rebelling against the Federation, then it should fight on their side. Uso responds with a dropkick. He turns the head of the Gundam and arms completely around. Do all mobile suits have this ability, or is this a new feature? I feel like tactics like this should have been utilized earlier in the timeline. Watari and his comrade flee. Also, his comrade's name is Trump. Uso returns to find that Oi and Katagina have been taken by Bespa. He and Odello begin fighting one another. With everyone going mad, Shakti decides to head back to Casarelia with Carl. Chronicle meets up with Watari and Trump. Trump tries to drop his colonies all over Cartagina's face. Watari kills Trump and apologizes to Chronicle for his men. He is going to take care of the Gundam on his own. Uso heads out to find the downed Zolo from earlier. No one is inside the mobile suit. That is when he is attacked. He does do this neat sweeping parry to counterbalance himself. That was a nice touch. Watari is hiding underground. He attacks the Gundam. Watari cuts through Uso's beam shield and slices his arm off. As the Zolo rushes towards him, he decides to throw his beam saber directly at the mobile suit. What a shot! Watari tries to escape from the Zolo, but Uso won't let him. He realizes that his opponent was a kid this whole time. The fact that he was fighting a kid is too much weight to bear for Watari. He says that children shouldn't be waging war. He tells Uso to run because he is going to blow himself up. But he barely gives Uso like 3 seconds. What the hell, dude? Uso struggles to come to terms with the fact that a guy just blew up in front of him. Uso wants to get back to Casarelia to check up with Shakti. He is also worried about Cartagina and Oi. Romero tells Uso, "Hey man, did you know that Bespa uses interrogation pills? And sometimes they could cause brain aneurysms." Marbella is like, "Bro, he's a kid, maybe tone down the brain aneurysm talk." Uso heads out on a Wappa. Odello thinks that Casarelia sounds like a cool place. They decide to bail as well. Once again, Shakti is hanging out in the forest, heading back to Casarelia. She is surrounded by battle bikes. The battle bike is a scaled-down version of the Galison. There are 2 variants of this battle bike. The O2 is designed to take down mobile targets with its rapid-fire 2-barreled machine gun, along with 1 regular machine gun. The battle bike Co has a more powerful beam cannon. This is designed to take down larger buildings and used for siege purposes, or in this case, a trench run. Odello and the kids meet up with Uso. Fowler picks up Chronicle and the prisoners. Uso notices the battle bikes. They pretend that Warren is sick so they could get past them. The battle bikes find the camion and begin attacking. Marbella gets into the core fighter and launches. Warren brought along a rocket launcher for some reason. Good call. Marbella lands the core fighter and Uso gets in. Chronicle and Fowler wonder if they're going to mass produce the Gundam that the League has. Susie loads bazookas. Start 'em young. That's what I always say. The camion gets out of the trench and helps out the team. Romero almost dies while on top of the truck. The camion launches boots to create the bottom fighter. Around Casarelia airspace is Lieutenant Arbeo and a squad of Tomliats dropping down. The ZM-S-09G Tomliat is built from the Zolo. Many pilots struggled with the docking procedure of the Zolo. This makes things easier by not having a top and bottom, but rather one uniform body. The pilot no longer has to focus on controlling the boots. To cut down on cost, this unit shares many parts with the Zolo. Weapons include a new beam rotor, a beam tomahawk, nose Vulcans, 2 4-2 missile pods, 2 2-2 missile pods, a beam rifle, a beam bazooka, and a Gatling gun. He and his team are going to support the ground team. The Gundam transforms, but it doesn't have its arms yet. Uso says, "Please don't turn me into a murderer, because I will murder you." The camion launches the top and the Gundam completes its transformation. The commander of the battle bikes say that they will show the world the power of the bike. "We are going to bring it back. In a world of hover vehicles, the bike will reign supreme." Spoilers, they do not. Meanwhile, Fowler is clockwork oranging Oi. He won't tell them anything, even if they send him to the guillotine. As Uso fights the battle bikes, the Tomliats come in. Uso tries to shoot at one of them using his new type sense, but he misses. They tell him to pull back as he rushes in too far. Arbeo returns to base to talk to Chronicle. He gets a call informing him that the team at Casarelia has failed. Uso is getting yelled at for chasing the Tomliats. When they get a transmission. On the transmission, Fowler brings out Oi and places him in the guillotine. They drop the blades on Oi, chopping off his head in front of the world. Uso realizes this isn't a game. Uso has a dream where his head is chopped off from the guillotine. Just a normal dream for a child to be having, no big deal. He and Shakti wake up. They plan on sneaking out, but Marbella catches them. He is tired of the killing and has something to take care of back at Casarelia. They tell him that he is special, but he still goes. Marbella finds it pathetic that they have to rely on a new type child. Chronicle doesn't like that Fowler sent Oi to the guillotine so swiftly. Lieutenant Arbeo tells him that his team will take care of the Gundam. Chronicle is told by Ghetto Dupree that he will be escorting Fowler back into space, where she is to receive court-martial. They are to head to Ardi Gibraltar. This seems to be somewhere around Spain, and they have a mass driver system. Cartagina looks on at the Tomliat team taking off. She doesn't seem concerned at all that Oi just died. The camion caravan picks up on the Tomliats nearby. Marbella launches in the core fighter. Odello helps out from the ground. Meanwhile, Uso sees the fighting and decides to go help out again. Make up your mind, kid. The core fighter goes into the forest to hide until the camion launches the boots. Marbella transforms. Arbeo transforms into mobile suit form. He grabs the Gundam from behind, but Marbei ejects in the core fighter. Her leg is still seriously injured. Arbeo fires and hits Marbei. That is when, surprise, parachute Uso. She grabs him as he falls towards the core fighter. They head into the forest where Uso drops off Marbei. He keeps thinking about the guillotine. This isn't a healthy thought for someone your age. He finds the down top and connects the Gundam once again. His right arm is damaged. He is surrounded and he runs away so he could pick them off one by one. A falling building pancakes one of the mobile suits. Dude thought his beam rotors were gonna save him. Uso picks off another. They surround him once again. Arbeo tells his men to fall back when another white core fighter comes in. It takes out another Tomliat. Arbeo and his remaining team retreat. We learn that the pilot of the second unit is Oliver Inoue, and he is another Gundam pilot. He too is stunned that a kid is piloting the Gundam. Uso is piloting the Gundam on foot. They don't want the Kemion to be found. Chronicle is piloting a Zolo and Katajina in the passenger seat. They are to regroup with the Recarl after this operation. Back in Casarelia, Flanders throws up something and eats it. Flanders is the name of the dog. The show has a dog, a Haro, which is essentially a robot dog, and a war orphan baby. This is the trifecta of tragic but cute. They are waiting for Uso. When Chronicle's Zolo lands, she notices that Katajina is with him. She remembers that he was the one who saved her when he was in disguise. Uso is scouting when Zolos drop down and attack. He isn't able to get into his mobile suit in time, and they surround him. They carry the Gundam back to Chronicle. Uso wonders why she is with the Yellow Jackets. Katajina says she is working with Zanscare now to better understand them. She thinks fighting is just going to get them all killed. Odello and the kids are scouting Corellia. Victory takes off. He wants to steal the Zolo. Chronicle tests out Victory Gundam and is amazed by how maneuverable it is without a beam rotor. The other Zolo pilots eat their food when the kids trick them and knocks one of them out. Odello tackles the other but fails. That is when Susie comes in with the sheep tackle. Odello grabs the gun and takes the pilot as prisoner. Oliver approaches the Gundam thinking it is Uso, but Chronicle begins attacking. The Gundam beam rifle is out of ammo. He whips out his beam saber and goes in to attack Oliver's core fighter, but Uso comes in piloting the stolen Zolo. He deflects the beam saber. Chronicle slices off the Zolo's legs. He doesn't know how to detach the core fighter. Oliver overwhelms them with Vulcans, and the Gundam decides to land. A beam blast comes out of nowhere, distracting Oliver. He lands back at Casarelia and gets into a Zolo. Odello tries to shoot him, but Katajina stops him. She says she is a spy, and to stop messing this up for her. He doesn't believe her. Uso comes in with the Zolo and crashes the boots into Chronicle's Zolo. He gets out and notices that Oliver's core fighter is dodging someone's attack. He gets back into the Gundam to help him. It happens to be the Recarl's beam cannon. It came to regroup with Chronicle's team. Victory comes in and attacks the Recarl. They take out Uso's leg, causing the Ambak to go out of balance. He ejects the boots. Luckily, Oliver has the core bottom with him. He ejects the boots and gives it to Uso. Chronicle gets Katajina and they make their leave, but she leaves a note for him. As they flee, Uso has a perfect shot, but he knows Katajina is in the Zolo. He hesitates and doesn't shoot. He cries instead. Meanwhile, Shakti found Katajina's note, but doesn't tell Uso. Uso tells Shakti that they can no longer live in Casarelia, as it is too dangerous. Marbei is ignoring Oliver and the incident. He heads back to his team and hopes that he will eventually talk to her. Uso wonders, what was that all about? They attach the boots to the top fighter. Uso asks questions about Jin, who is the leader of the League. Dupree deciphers a message from a karaoke video. Is that what's happening here? He borrows Arbeo's Tomliat team for a mission. Both are formal, but there is hate there. They head to DD. Uso notes that this DD happens to be Dresden. He is worried about another attack. No, not Dresden. Haven't they been bombed enough? Shakti wants to go with Uso if he plans on running off somewhere. They sneak on board the core fighter and take off. He tells them he is going to scout ahead before launching. They run into Tomliats and Zolos. It is Dupree's team. Get ready for your first panic attack, Carl, because we are about to head into battle. Why'd they bring the baby? Uso passes by Dupree. He knows he is just a kid, so he orders his men to capture the unit instead of killing them. They surround him when mobile suits approach from behind. Setters approach, bearing the new Gun Easy. The LM111 EO2 Gun Easy is a mass-produced mobile suit created by Ligue Militaire. It has the same generator as Victory Gundam, and they are essentially non-transformable versions of Victory. They could hold their own against Zanscare, though their output is inferior. Weapons include Vulcan guns, a beam saber, a 2-tube multi-launcher, a beam rifle which doubles as a beam pistol, a beam bazooka, a beam shield, and the overhang cannon, which will be taken from the V-Gundam later. It attaches this using its hardpoints. The CS H926 setter is a subflight system used by Ligue Militaire. Like other subflight systems, there isn't much more to say about it, but it's probably the ugliest subflight system so far. Uso realizes that the strike team has been following the Camion this whole time. He said Doc. He sets down to let Shakti out of the mobile suit. Uso gives her a flare gun so he could find her later. He goes to dock with Oliver while the strike team handles business. After transforming back into the Gundam, he is instantly met with a Tomliat. Uso fires and a giant explosion erupts. He accidentally hit the mobile suit's generator. He joins up with the rest of the strike team to take out the remaining Tomliats and Zolos. They take out everyone but Dupree. Shakti meets up with the Camion and tells them about the strike team. The strike's team is amazed by the Gundam's ability to take out 2 Tomliats with one shot. Dupree is shot down by one of the Gunizis. The Camion of the strike team regroup. The strike team consists of Mahalia Merrill, Helen Jackson, Connie Francis, Peggy Lee, Junko Jinko, and Kate Bush. Oliver says today is the day you become a man and work as a team with all of these ladies. He then gives him a nice bright punch, but also an awkward way to end an episode. The strike team flies above the Camion. Shakti thinks that Uso wants to follow the Camion because of Katagina. DD happens to be a Federation base. They meet with a Federation soldier. His name is Roberto Gomez, who is transporting 3 new Victory Gundams. While talking to Romero, he mentions the name Hangurg Ewan, the name of Uso's father. He inquires about how he knows him, but he doesn't say anything more. Meanwhile, Marbei is jelly of the strike team. Uso asks other Fedi mechanics about his father, but gets nothing. Odello and Uso fight for dumb reasons once again. Lupe, Sino, and a small team of Tomliat pilots got word from Dupree that the League is heading south after the last encounter. They report this to Legrand. The strike team just watches as the kids fight one another. But Shakti comes out and tells them to stop. Lupe and her men find witnesses who saw the League heading south. She decides to kill all these men before heading out. Uso runs into Odello again. He has that look that says, I fucking dare you to swing at me. But then he tells him to look into Artie Gibraltar. It might lead him to info regarding his dad. This is where the mass driver system is located. They are suddenly attacked by battle bikes. The ladies go into action. Robert Gomez is like, I didn't sign up for this fight. It's time to bail. Let's get a move on. As the Victory Gundams are being prepped, Uso heads out in a Wappa. The strike team heads out as well. Lupe's team happens to come in and intercept. Duker, the battle bike commander, says the age of the terrestrial battles is upon us. No one could stop the bike. The kids are going out in hover vehicles, dude. Let it go. He is trying to be weighed down by gravity. Uso finds the hangar with Robert Gomez's shuttle and gets into the back where Oliver and Marbei are in the Gundams. He gets into the 3rd unit. Lupe's Tomliat team makes it to the battlefield. She transforms her mobile suit and notices the shuttle. It says PCST, or Public Corporation of Space Transport. She realizes a neutral party is taking sides with the League. Meanwhile, Shakti is starting to lose it. I would be too if I had a baby just constantly crying in my ear. Uso comes in and protects Shakti, while Odello and the kids grab her. The strike team surrounds Uso to help out. Lupe wonders what happened to their ground cover. Their bikes, it takes them some time. The shuttles finally take off. One Tomliat rushes to take it out, but Helen comes in to protect the ship. She stabs and takes out the mobile suit, while at the same time, the Tomliat crushes her cockpit, killing Helen. The Wappa rushes onto the shuttle as it takes off. Part of the wing was hit, and the Gundams hold it up. Lupe slices at Uso, taking out his boots. Behind her is Peggy in the Gunizi. Both her and Uso stab the Tomliat, but Lupe ejects before it is destroyed. The strike team realizes that they lost Helen during this battle. The team heads to Artie Gibraltar. Shakti reads the note left by Katagina that mentions meeting at this location. 2 units approach their location at 3 o'clock. It happens to be 2 Overhead Hawks. The Overhead Hawks are recon vehicles used by Vespa and the Yellow Jackets. They greatly resemble the DOP from the One-Year War and has its iconic lifted fuselage. Unlike the DOP, this is mainly used for scouting and only has a pair of machine cannons and a twin gun. The shuttle ascends above the clouds while Uso acts as a distraction. Overhead Hawks attack Uso's core top. The 2 Hawks run out of ammo and Uso is able to force them to retreat. Uso looks at the ocean for the first time in his life. What a beautiful view. Time for a Pop-Tart. He makes it to the island where he finds an old man who thinks he is someone named Nicole. Nah, I don't play the piano, bro. Fala's men hit on her, not realizing it is their commander. Flanders is able to lead them to Uso, who made it into town. Susie runs off on her own, yelling sister. She runs into Fala, thinking that it is her older sister. Susie follows her into the bar. They all head in except for Shakti. she's always the one getting shafted. The kids annoy Fala, not knowing who she is. A Vespa truck carrying the guillotine comes into town. Everyone gathers for the execution. It seems that Fala has been searching for the guillotine ever since Zanscare moved it. The people begin protesting and Vespa begins shooting. Uso finds the old man that called him Nicole earlier, and the two flee. Thinking that he is saving Nicole, he jumps out of the Wappa and throws a rock at the soldier. But Rock will always lose to Gun as they mow down the old man. The kids flee the scene. Uso cries and says, "I'm not Nicole, you old glorious bastard." But thanks, I guess. He rushes back to the core fighter and finds the guillotine, breaking it into pieces. Tomliats approach and attack the Gundam. The mobile suit transforms and surrounds Uso. Uso puts out his beam shield and pops out the beam saber, using it as a razor blade to cut through the Tomliat. Fala pursues in the Recarl. She regrets chugging that beer in the bar. The Recarl approaches and fires on the Gundam. Uso does the razor blade technique again and slices the Recarl's beam cannon. Fala retreats for now. Uso meets up with Oliver and Marbet and the other Gundams. Meanwhile, out in the sea is a sub with a photo of Uso. Vespa makes its way to Arty Gibraltar. Hiding under the mass driver system is the Victory Gundams, while Fala is forcing herself into Arty Gibraltar airspace. Chronicle is taking a diplomatic approach as he talks to PCST President Mandela soon. He is refusing to allow Zanscare to occupy Arty Gibraltar. They're trying not to side with one government during all of this. Mandela gives him 2 tickets to leave for space with Katagina. This is a subtle bribe to get him out of his business. He runs into Uso and Oliver. The two essentially tell each other to mind their own business and then walk away. Uso and Chronicle tried to murder one another, but when they meet in person, they act like bullies. Uso and Oliver meet with Mandela, who happens to know Uso's parents. He tells him that his parents vanished out into space somewhere. Mandela isn't going to help the League, as they are neutral during all of this, even though PCSD is transporting military equipment currently, but he does give 2 tickets to Uso for him to get into space. Oliver is like, "Don't mess with us. We saw Vespa in your airspace." Mandela is tight-lipped. Chronicle doesn't want them to resort to brute force, but Fala is like, nah. She wants to meet with Mandela when they notice the shuttle coming in from above. They know that the League is working with PCST. Fala sends a message to Lee and his team to begin using force. The shuttle lands and Uso and Oliver catch up with it. He sees Fala and recognizes her from the bar. But now that she is in uniform, she sees her as the one who sent Oin Young to the guillotine. Mandela tries to deflect and blame this on the Federation. Uso gets a ride back to the core fighter with Mahelia's easy gun. He doesn't want to sit in her lap, but she says, "Sit in my gun easy, boy." We learn that Mahelia's family was killed and she has been alone for her whole life. "Aw man, you're gonna kill her, aren't you?" He lands and gets into the Gundam. They can't let the mass driver get destroyed. Who's going to make the first move in neutral territory? Mahalia wants revenge for what happened to Helen. She rages when she sees the sight of the Tomliats. Lee's Tomliat team makes the first move. Lupe's team makes their appearance as well. Mahalia uses her beam saber on the Tomliat, but it uses its beam rotors as a shield. You could do that? She has a one-man army. Uso comes in and fights Lupe, but he slices up her mobile suit. She once again ejects and flees. Uso is pushing in too deep. Chronicle and Fala are in the Recarl. He tells her not to underestimate Uso. Fala approaches their mobile armor. He uses the mass driver as a shield. He is able to sense where the Recarl is through the mountains and gets a shot on it. He uses the boots to block the Recarl's attack. He goes in, but once again hesitates once he sees Fala's face. Because of this, Mahalia attacks one remaining Tomliat. She takes it out, but is also killed in the process. Uso tried to fire his rifle, but cries instead of shoots. When faced with war for the first time, many Gundam heroes think maybe I could reason with them. Maybe fighting isn't the solution, but that usually contradicts the moment, and the moment says one of your comrades is about to die if you don't make a move. Uso, like many heroes, has to learn this the hard way. While Uso and the gang are on Earth, a fleet battle is happening in space between the League and Zanscare. On Earth, Fala is informed by Arbeo that the League is being assisted by Federation teams. Remember, Zanscare, specifically Tassilo Vago, wants to court-martial her and must return to space. But if she could cut off the League before Uso's team makes it to space, Tassilo might lighten her sentence. Chronicle suggests taking a diplomatic approach before fighting, but she's like, nah. Chronicle notices the Mima Dorza being prepped. The ZMT S-16G Mima Dorza is a long-flight experimental mobile suit. Beam rotors so far have been attached to the forearm when in mobile suit form, and had limited mobility. The Mima Dorza mounts the beam rotors on the shoulders. New thrusters in the legs help with the mobility. However, this unit doesn't get mass-produced. Weapons include a beam shield, a mega machine cannon, a mega beam gun on the shoulders, a beam saber, and a beam rifle. The strike team holds a funeral for Mahalia. They all pay their respects by putting lipstick on her. Still looking good even in death, Chronicle gives one of his tickets to Katajina. He tells her to head out and wait for him. He's going to try to do something to protect her. Chronicle enters PCST to retrieve his comrades' dead bodies. He says, "You guys gotta believe me, I'm not like the others." They in fact don't believe him. Uso wants to know where Katajina is, but he lies to him. That is when Shakti finally gives him the letter. It says that she is going to try to spy on Vespa. He, Shakti, and the kids go to look for her. He tries to stop her and even wants to go with her. She's like, "Yo, you got Shakti behind you. Why are you doing this to her?" She leaves for the shuttle just as Vespa approaches. Fala and Vespa attack and demand that Artie Gibraltar surrender. Chronicle tries to stop Fala so Katajina can launch, but she doesn't listen. The strike team goes in to attack, trying to get Mandela to help the League. Romero tells him of Kayla Gouillet's ability to strike Earth. Stupid French words. This is a space fortress that we will see in the future. Uso heads back to the Gundam and launches. Coming from the sea is Quan Li in the Mima Dorza. His beam blasts are getting dangerously close to the mass driver. Uso handles the Ricarl and Tomliats. Lupe in a new Tomliat goes in to attack the Shrike team. He throws his beam rotors, hitting the mass driver. Kate goes in to prevent the mass driver system from falling. Lee takes advantage of the situation and stabs Kate Bush's cockpit, killing her. She ain't running up no more hills. This enrages Uso, who begins punching Lee. The Ricarl goes down and crash lands in the water. The escape pod ejects with Fala, but the pilot, Mechet, stays behind. The Ricarl explodes. Katajina makes her escape with Chronicle's Tomliat holding Fala's escape pod. He's hitching a ride to space, the same way Grandpa did at the end of G Gundam. Yeehaw! As they make it to low Earth orbit, they approach a Salamis-class ship on fire. Chronicle notes that Kayla Gouillet probably attacked them. Fala wonders why Mechet gave her life for someone who is a dead woman walking. Uso blames himself on Kate's death. They both cry-yell at one another. Unfortunately, Kate's gun easy is now a foundational support structure and stuck there permanently. You guys don't want to grab her body or something? You did all that work for Mahalia, but you just leave Kate Bush? The League was able to use the mass driver by forcing PST to let them use it. Shakti is going to stay behind. Odello and the kids are staying as well. Uso bids them farewell. However, Susie can't find Odello. He and Warren Trace sneaks on board the shuttle. They launch into space. On Fala and Chronicle's shuttle, they learn of the Bagley team. They are a Federation team that has been reassigned to work with the League. They're attacking Kayla Gouillet. Chronicle goes in to assist. He finds that one Claw-class ship is fighting senselessly alone. He convinces the fleet to surrender instead of dying here. They also now have a captured Federation ship. Debris hits Uso's ship. The captain goes out to patch up some cracks in the hull. They use a beam shield to prevent the captain from getting hit, but the beam shield fails and a giant piece of debris knocks him out. Uso and the kids go out to help him. As he looks out at Earth, Uso unlocks a new fear. They head back to the shuttle with the captain. Uso wants to use Victory Gundam to shoot debris, though he has no experience piloting in space. Fala and Chronicle have a meal with Captain Tassilo Vago. After they finish, he sentences her to exile and makes Chronicle carry out the sentence. While shooting debris, Uso finds a floating house. It has mobile suits parked outside. He gets out and explores to find a bunch of sickly soldiers demanding they leave. They don't want any help from the Federation. Chronicle gives Fala 3 days of oxygen before launching her out into space. She even gets a color guard team to fire off their guns, but they're in space so nothing goes off. I just thought that was adorable. The people Uso found are a Federation squad hiding from a previous battle on the verge of running out of oxygen, but the commander's pride won't let him get any help. Uso gives him some reserve oxygen tanks. He learns that his name is Godwald Hein. Uso takes off saying Casarelia, which is not just his home, but apparently it means farewell in his native tongue Japanese. Hey, wait a minute. A Zanscare ship approaches them. It is a Sinope-class ship carrying Zolos. We broke down the Zolo in our coverage of Crossbone Gundam Ghost. Go give that a watch. The Sinope-class ship is more of a space patrol class than a vessel. It can store 2 mobile suits, typically Zolos, and it has a 10-tube missile launcher. On Earth, Romero and the other League members are prepping a reinforced class ship. They are launching the remaining League fleet from Artie Gibraltar. They meet the remains of the Bagley team, who join them. Shakti and Susie sneak on board the ship. Meanwhile, underwater, mobile suits approach their location. As they prep, they are attacked by Duker and his team of Galguyus. The ZMT D-15M Galguyu is an experimental underwater transformable mobile suit that has some design influences from the Albigor. These weren't properly tested and very flawed. Weapons include a beam gun, a large missile launcher, a beam saber, a shock claw, a 3-tube torpedo pod, and a beam rifle. Duker says he will show them the spirit of a biker. But you are in an underwater mobile suit. You are sending mixed messages, dude. Junko and the remaining strike team get into the gun easy to defend the ships. As they go out to protect the ships, they retreat. But they were able to damage 2 of the ships. The Reinforce and the rest of the League head into space. They too also pass the burning Salamis that Uso's team saw earlier. The Zolos pilots board the shuttle. They take them and Victory Gundam as prisoner. They board the ship to find more children. They were from Highland. Highland is a large solar battery satellite which wirelessly sends energy directly to Earth. It currently isn't in use, however. Vespa is using the children as puppets to drive out their parents and force them to surrender. Might as well make shields made of children at that point. Uso and the kids find some insecticide and use it to distract the Vespa soldiers. Why is there insecticide on the ship? Oh, is it because all the Zanscare mobile suits look like bugs? Does insecticide work on mobile suit bugs? They head back to the shuttle and Uso gets into the Gundam. He goes in to attack the Zolos. One shoots at the Gundam, but he detaches the boots and gets behind the mobile suit. He captures the pilot from behind, forcing the Sinop team to leave them alone in exchange for the pilot back. They retreat and pretend they didn't see anything. Meanwhile, Shakti looks for Uso out in space. While docking, Uso and the gang watch some Zanscare propaganda. Zanscare's homeland is Side 2. Around the bunch is an Amalthea-class ship, a Sinop-class ship carrying Zolos, and a Callisto-class ship. The one currently speaking to his fleet and the world is Materma Zugan. The Callisto-class is a very symmetrical cruiser created by the Zanscare Empire. It has 2 catapults and 2 bridges and can respond depending on the needs of space combat. This unit is 310 meters in length and 72 meters wide. It also has a sub-bridge, but it wasn't too effective considering the 2 main bridges. It is equipped with 2 2-barrel particle cannons and 4 multi-launchers. The Amalthea class is bigger than the Callisto and stands at 462 meters in length and 151 meters in width. Like the Callisto, this is very symmetrical. However, this is more heavily armed with 4 double-barrel megaparticle cannons across the hull. This also has multiple gravity blocks for the crew's needs. Other weapons include 8 multi-launchers and anti-air turrets. In the colony, the Prime Minister Fons Kagari is meeting with the Queen of Zanscare and Chronicle's sister, Maria Pure Armonia. Fons Kagari is awfully close to Crux Kagari. If you are following our coverage of Crossbone Gundam Ghost, we will soon learn that these two have met. Also there is Duker, the battle bike dude. Why is he wearing a wig? You know, usually they used to wear those wigs back in the day to hide their syphilis. Just saying. He has been also providing intel for the Queen. She is to give a speech after Materma, but they try to give her some intel to not address the people. Hey, wait a minute, this is just a recap episode disguised as a briefing. Duker tells the Queen that he believes that the League members they fought against aren't on the level of real soldiers. After all this, she still confronts the people of Zanscare. Uso and the gang watches on. They wonder if they will be able to handle their army. Meanwhile, Shakti and Susie sneak onto a shuttle, while the Reinforce tries to get in contact with Marbei. Shakti and Susie find a place to lay low. Meanwhile, Uso and the gang make it to Highland, where he meets Tomas. His sister, Alicia, was one of the kids stolen by Zanscare. He tells them that since Zanscare began their invasion, no supply ships have visited and they have been pretty much abandoned. Odello seems to be into Alicia. Chronicle is on board Tassilo's Amalthea, receiving intel about the Reinforce-class ship. They are heading to Kailas Gil, which I think is the right way to say it. Who knows, it might be different next week. Chronicle is given an Amalthea and 2 Sinopes to take down the ship. The Reinforce-class ship gets a red alert. Oliver and the Shrike team launch. On the shuttle, Warren Trace and Odello fight over Alicia's attention. Marbei tells Uso about the Reinforce's situation. While prepping for launch, Uso wonders about the League leader, Jin Jinenum. Marbei launches in a stolen Zolo. They launch, but also Tomas and the kids launch in a stolen Sinope. They want to support during battle. Warren, however, just wants Uso to give him advice about girls. Chronicle's fleet attacks the Reinforce's fleet. Marbei and Uso join the battle. The Reinforce-class ship is hit, creating a breach in the hull, causing Shakti and the kids to fling out into space. Javelins approach the battle. It is reinforcements from the League and Jin. Chronicle and his team retreat. They head back to the floating space battery. Uso goes to look for Jin. He finds a man that doesn't seem like a leader and wonders what is going on. He asks Marbei, and all she says is that his parents are out there doing great work. Warren gives Alicia flowers, but she yells at him. Do you know how long it takes to grow flowers in space? You asshole. He forgets he wasn't on Earth. While this is happening, Shakti and the kids are floating out into space. They'll be fine. Romero and Oliver realize that Shakti and the kids snuck on board and were flung out into space. However, they are found by Zanscare first. Uso finds out about Shakti and the kids. Zanscare does a DNA test on Shakti to find that she is related to the Queen. They can't let this information break to the public. Chronicle tells her that she is related to him and the Queen. "It's me, your Uncle Chronicle." Uso takes one of the Victory Gundams while no one is looking, except for Marbe and Oliver, who watch the whole thing go down. While out searching, they run into Vespa. Odello heads to the stolen Sinope and finds himself a bazooka. She decides to shoot first, tipping off Vespa. Tomas launches in the stolen Zolo. They engage with enemy Zolots. Cecilia Valgo wants Chronicle to return Shakti to the Zanscare homeworld. He is hesitant as he wants to see Kalos Gil in action. We learn that they need Highland to power the weapon. Uso rushes in and takes off the limbs of a Zolo. That is when Marbe and the Shrike team come in to help. They knew that the kids were doing something this whole time. The Vespa pilots retreat. Back on the Reinforce, the League chastises the kids for taking the mobile suits. The League wants to use the microwaves on board Highland to create a microwave cannon. Uso suggests that they use one of their ships as a defense against Kalos Gil. He and the kids want to sneak out again to find Shakti, as he thinks that she is with the Kalos Gil fleet. Now that EFF is helping, they are consolidating all their pilots. The Javelin pilots are the old Bagley team. The Shrike team doesn't like them. Oliver is being oblivious to Marbe, who is still mad at him. Zanscare sees movement at Highland and goes in for an attack. Uso's senses still aren't attuned for space battles. Junko takes out Zolos, attacking Uso. If it weren't for her, she would be dead. Uso gets hit in the head and he loses his camera feed. He has to keep moving even though he can't see anything. Oliver and Peggy handle business. Thomas and the kids are helping with the microwave. Uso is able to take out a Zolot with his beam saber, even though he can't see. He notes that the Zolot's beam shield has worn down, which is nice to see that they could break. If you just saw eye fields and beam shields that were used in Crossbone, you would assume that they are near invincible. It's a magic force field to the space pirates. Uso randomly asks if Junko likes Oliver. "Can you put your erection away, kid?" Katajina is still with Chronicle when she spots Shakti and Susie and wonders why they are on this ship. Shakti says she is being given special treatment for some reason. Uso spies on Oliver finally apologizing and acknowledging Marbe. He then looks at pics of Junko stored on Hado. Are we looking at Uso's spank bank? I just feel bad for Haro. He has to store all this. He goes to tell Junko not to die. She says, "Look into my boobs, kid. We will be just fine." Odello is mad that Alicia is heading back to her homeland. They are able to get the microwave cannon up and running. They blast the rays at Kalos Gil. This causes Susie to blast one in the toilet. The Bagley team, Shrike team, and Uso all launch. Uso is in the V-Dash. The LM-312V04 plus SDVB-03A V-Dash Gundam is Victory Gundam equipped with the Overhang Pack. This pack equips 2 high-powered beam cannons and improves overall mobility. When the Overhang is equipped with the core fighter, it turns it into a core booster. Although speed and mobility is increased, Ligue Militaire did this to improve the ballistic firepower of the Gundam. This has the same weapon set as Victory Gundam. Everyone on Kalos Gil begins blowing up the toilets. Imagine being the janitor on this ship. Also, that can't be good for you, right? I think you just might have given baby Carl cancer. The team launches. 30 seconds until the microwave emitter will stop. They begin their attack. The Shrike team carries missile pods into battle. The Bagley team's gun-easies go down faster than their javelins. Chronicle preps his new mobile suit. While taking care of Carl, Shakti and Katajina seems to exhibit new type potential. Junko pushes in too deep. Odello, Thomas, and the kids head into battle to support in the stolen Sinope. The Zolo slices Uso's beam rifle in half. Junko goes in to support, taking out the enemy. She tells him to stop worrying so much. He unleashes his beam pistols on Zolos and gets a kill. Junko was able to focus Uso. Marbe goes in to support the front lines, but she is attacked. She hesitates, but Oliver comes in to save her. Uso's beam pistols hit directly into the cockpit, taking out a Zolo. According to Uso, this is what the sound of killing someone is. Odello and the kids prep a new beam rifle for Uso. They send out a flare to get his attention. A Zolo goes in and attacks the Gundam, hitting the overhang pack. He ejects the pack and retreats to the Sinope. The kids make some minor repairs to Victory. He equips a beam bazooka and a beam trident. Uso unleashes the bazooka, taking out one Zolo. That attack was overkill for one Zolo. Junko tells him not to give away their location with big weapons. He uses the beam trident, or laundry pole as they call it. He stabs it into the asteroid, and it projects a beam line that indeed looks like clothes drying in the wind. Chronicle can't wait any longer. He launches in the Contio. The ZM-S14S Contio is one of the last mass-produced Zanscare mobile suits. The Contio possesses 3 beam guns mounted in the torso and a pair of shock claws. The shock claws are large wire-guided grappling hooks. with the ability to produce beam blades and beam projectiles. Other weapons include a beam rifle, beam shield, and a beam saber. He notices that the League is getting the upper hand with just 2 ships. Chronicle goes in to attack the Gownland. The 2 ships being used by the League are the Reinforce and the Gownland, which is an Alexandria-class refit. It is very old. Remember Uso's plan of using a ship as a barrier. They decide to go with that plan and put the Gownland in front of the Reinforce for protection and distraction. The Reinforce crew begins self-destructing the nuclear engines on the Gownland, taking out some of the Zanscare fleet. Tassilo Vago realizes the Gownland is a trap. He tells his crew to arm themselves as the Reinforce approaches. Zanscare mobile suits are distracted with the exception of Chronicle. Tassilo wonders if he put too much faith in Kalos Gil. The League boards the Amalthea-class ship. Chronicle saves Tassilo Vago, and they flee from the Shrike team. Junko tries to kill Chronicle, but Marbei prevents her from pushing in too deep. This Hado is just out in space giving absolutely no fucks. Katajina goes outside the ship and uses a grappling hook to skin talk to Connie. Remember, 2 pilots can talk via vibrations from physical contact. It's rare to see used in the animes, but it does exist. She tells her to relay a message that Shakti and the kids are doing just fine and are safe. Meanwhile, Hado finds Shakti. This is the best Hado ever. Why isn't the show about the super cute AI computer / basketball? Marbei and Junko make up, which really makes Uso and his codependent behavior happy. I have been ignoring it, but since Uso got into space, he is really invested in the interpersonal relationships of the adults. This is a weird Tominoism for Westerners. It comes off very codependent to those raised in individualist cultures, but Japanese people are collectivists. Their culture is designed to benefit the group and not the individual. My question is, do they even view this as codependent, or is this simply a part of the collectivist mindset? Discuss in the comments. Connie tells Uso that a woman's voice told her that Shakti was okay. Uso is certain it was Katajina. This makes Uso very happy. Too happy. Tone it down, boy. You guys just lost half your crew. The League is going through the debris post-battle to find survivors. Uso is getting impatient and wants to save Shakti. Someone starts shooting in the debris field. They spot a wrecked Callisto class. Uso spots that someone inside is waving the white flag, but Junko says not today and kills him. Uso tries to justify what he just saw by saying, well, you shouldn't have fired at Junko. He hasn't realized war is hell, and there isn't a justification for everything in life just yet. The League captured a Squid-class ship. The Squid class is the longest battleship in Universal Century at 656 meters in length. This Zanscare Empire ship was built with the Kalos Gil, and like the Callisto and the Amalthea, is completely symmetrical and has multiple bridges. All catapults can be used at once, allowing for 8 mobile suits to launch at a time. It is equipped with 8 2-barrel main beam cannons and 8 multi-launchers in front of the catapults. This lacks defensive armor and requires mobile suits for its defensive purposes. I believe last episode I said Tassilo Vago was on an Amalthea, but it was a Squid class. They're heading to Levian Rose 4. What happened to 2 and 3? Also, remember when Emery died saving Bright? But Bright was like, well, I told her multiple times I was married, so oh well. See, this is the gold you miss when you skip Double Zeta. This new ship is going to be renamed the Reinforced Junior. While looking through the rubble, he runs into Hado, who shows him a picture of Shakti and the kids. He then runs into an Abigor. The ZM D11S Abigor is a transformable mobile suit, which has high firepower in mobile suit form and high mobility in mobile armor form. This mobile suit is huge for this time, standing at 22 meters tall. Weapons include beam cannons, a pair of beam sights, a pair of beam katars, a pair of beam cutters, and a beam net generator. Uso remembers this is the same mobile suit that Godwald had. That is when he is captured by Godwald. He doesn't initially recognize Uso and tells him he is going to teach him a lesson about surviving in space. The two engage in combat. Oliver and Junko comes in to assist along with enemy Zolos. The Abigor uses its beam scythe to slice through Uso's legs. The Abigor is big enough to grab the 2 Zolos and bail. It unleashes a beam net generator while retreating. They head back to Levian Rose. Uso tells Oliver and Junko about Godwald. He seems to be known as the man-eating tiger, and he is to be feared. The Highland kids are informed that they got into contact with their parents near Side 2. The kids want to sneak out and look for Shakti, but are stopped by Marbei and Junko. Junko rubs his head and her boobs as punishment. Can I be punished? He admits that he is doing this for Shakti, so they let him go. Then Marbei kisses him? What is happening? They head out and are instantly met with Godwald's team again. The Abigor's beam net generator grabs onto Victory Gundam's legs. He ejects the boots and takes off in the core top through the debris field. Uso leads Godwald on and lures him into an attack. When he attacks, Uso dodges and Godwald hits his own wingman. The ejected boots kicks the Abegor from behind, and Uso comes in from the front. He hesitates at shooting Godwald, but not at shooting his other wingman. He says that Uso isn't meant to be a soldier. Odello and Thomas come in with a battery backup for Uso. Uso fires the battery, causing an explosion as a distraction. This allows him to get a direct hit, destroying the Abegor. Godwald ejects and tries to jack the Gundam, but Uso uses his grappling hook to push him back towards the exploding Abegor. Before dying, he tells Uso, "Good job. You just killed me, but respect, bro." The Highland kids meet up with their parent. War is getting to Uso, but he still has to find Shakti. The kids are creating an electric wire trap when Martina starts to feel sick. She needs to see a doctor, but the closest is on Side 2, which is Zanscare territory. They have no choice but to go. A rock is drifting towards the colony. A patrol group goes out to investigate in Shaitarns. The ZMS-19S Shaitarn is a defensive unit used by the ballistic equipment and space patrol armory. It functions mainly as a guard unit for the colonies. This unit can't operate for too long and can't go long distances. This should be used as a last line of defense. Weapons include a beam shield on each shoulder, and a beam rifle which doubles as a beam saber. The kids are sneaking close in with their wire contraption thingy. The two Shaitarns approach and attack. The kids release dummies as a distraction. Uso grabs one of the mobile suits and tells them to eject. The patrol team grabs the pilot and they bail. Uso looks at a space colony for the first time in his life. They break into a dock that's not being used. The patrol team is picked up by a sandhodge. We broke this down in our coverage of Crossbone Ghost. Go give that a watch. The patrol group heads out while the kids get Martina into the colony. One thing about the sandhodges is that they were made independently by the Sandhodge Company, mainly used as mobile workers. But its creator, Zubrak Simenev, wants to show that they can be used for combat. They use the nail magnetic anchor to hold Victory Gundam in place. One of the patrolmen detaches from the sandhodge and goes off book, while the other two kick Victory Gundam in the dick. His beam pistol still works, and Uso begins shooting. He gets free and uses the beam saber to chop off the limbs, and uses this opportunity to bail towards the hangar. He meets up with Hato, where they run into a security robot. Uso is able to take it out quite easy, making you wonder the purpose if a kid could take it down. He sneaks into the colony, which happens to be Amelia Colony, which we just saw in F90 Fastest Formula. This was supposed to be an independent colony before the Zanscare invasion. He eventually meets up with Odello, where they are all reunited with Flanders, Carlman, and Susie. Uso wonders where Shakti is. Susie tells everyone that they are here because Shakti is meeting with her mother. Shakti is told that Maria left her on Earth because she thought she would be safe. Katajina put hidden cameras in the room. They want to use Shakti to promote a motherly society proposed by Fons Kagati. Zanscare is patrolling the area. The girls hide in the hospital, while the boys hide out somewhere else for plot reasons. Meanwhile, the League is testing out their new Reinforced Junior refit. The Reinforced Junior is a modified version of a Reinforced that uses the Squid-class parts. It has a beam shield emitter that can allow the ship to ram things. It also has additional hangar space. Weapons include a beam shield, 6 2-barrel main guns, and 16 3-barrel secondary guns. Marbet launches in the Gundam Hexa. The LM-312 VO6 Victory Gundam Hexa is a modified Victory Gundam with a bunny ear antenna design on the head and a brand new core fighter. This is designed to be a commander unit and has enhanced sensors. The Victory Gundam Hexa's combat capabilities are identical to the original Victory Gundam. The overhang pack can be attached to create the V-Gundam Hexa. Uso uses Hato to project images of the Gundam. Security forces thinks it is real and shoot at it. Hato, quick, use tackle. While heading back to the Gundam, Uso uses a stick. A stick? To take down Pink Security Robot Chan? Someone sold Zanscare a robot of lies. He escapes and daydreams of Shakti. While not paying attention, in comes the Sandhodge, shocking the Gundam. Hato goes, "I got you, bro," and takes in all the electricity. No, Hato! This allows Uso to continue fighting. A Shaitarn attacks from behind. He is overwhelmed. Hey Larry, what do you think is happening over there? Probably just some tests. Oh my god! The League is planning an all-out attack on Side 2. Tsilavago preps the Squid's mobile suits. A surprise attack is happening. They tie up the Gundam for now, but Uso gets power working in the cockpit and just does the most casual escape in all of Gundam. He realizes that the League is currently attacking. Chronicle launches and the Kontio, while Uso heads into the colony. The two meet up and begin fighting, but he is distracted by an easy gun. At the palace, Shakti can sense Uso and runs towards him. Uso meets up with Marbet and they head to the castle. He is finally reunited with Shakti. She tells Uso that Maria is her mother. The reunion is short as they are met with more enemies. Uso gets back into the Gundam and continues fighting. The two meet up with Oliver. The strike team is handling business on the outside of the colony. Odello and the others were able to get Martina off the colony safely due to the power of cutting away, but they run into the Sand Hodge. Uso heads out of the colony to help their shuttle and the Fishbone escape. Uso does the General Grievous while detaching the top and bottom, allowing him and the kids to retreat to the Reinforced Junior. Otis helps Uso repair Hato. The kids have a party on the ship and discuss how Odello got Martina out of there. Now you're just messing with us by not showing it. Odello, don't go full beat ya. Uso wonders if he should have left Shakti on side 2. Uso gets a punch in the face by Robert Gomez, who is acting as the captain of the Reinforced Junior. Peggy also gives him a slap on the ass. Chronicle is running tests with his Contio team when Silavago informs him of the location of the League. He heads out with his team to attack. The Strike Girls, Oliver and Marbet, launch in Gun-Easies, while Uso's the only one that launches in the Gundam. Uso has Peggy's back. She thinks he may be a new type. The Contio team approaches and catches their team in a pincer maneuver. Uso gives Peggy the overhang pack. She fires the overhang cannons. Captain Gomez heads to the hangar and grabs Odello and Warren to help them launch Victory parts. Peggy's shins get cooked, but it is okay. She has shin healing spray. Uso returns to the battlefield resupplied. He takes off in the core booster and depletes another overhang pack once again. Peggy says, I will murder everyone here if I have to. Oliver ejects his boots and top and self-destructs the units inside the Amalthea hangars. Uso heads towards the Contios and Peggy. Chronicle fires at Peggy's back, but Uso comes in with the save. He instantly takes out one Contio. Chronicle realizes this team can't handle Uso and they retreat. Marbet saves Peggy, whose Gun-Easy is nearly destroyed. They head back to the Bonefish. The team is too far from the Reinforced Junior, and Martina still needs a hospital. They have to return to Side 2. Really, we're doing this again. Okay. They hide the Gun-Easy and the Gundam in an Amalthea junker ship, while the kids paint the ship and Zolo back to its Zanscare red color. Uso is found by the junkers and taken to Side 2. This all happens fast and very conveniently to get them back onto the colony. Everyone gathers at Side 2 and awaits the Queen, who is giving a speech. Uso is spotted by Chronicle, and he rushes towards the Queen and tells her he is Shakti's friend. That is when Marbet and Peggy make moves. This guy right here with the wig and the judge outfit shooting an automatic rifle is just the perfect little thing. Uso flees in the Gundam and tries to get Maria to come with him. Uso takes Queen Maria with him as he tries to exit the colony with Peggy and Marbet. Chronicle comes in to attack. Peggy feels like she is useless. Uso uses the beam shield to protect everyone. One of Chronicle's shot claws grabs Marbet in the Zolo. Chronicle rushes towards Uso, but Peggy jumps off his back and distracts him. Chronicle stabs her Gun-Easy, killing Peggy. Maria tells Chronicle not to kill Uso as he is a friend of Shakti. The kids sneak into Side 2 where they are instantly met with hostility. One man tells them to follow him. Uso and Marbet are now prisoners. Marbet cries and eats while Uso cries and does not eat. A soldier comes in and the two attack. Uso is able to break free from the cell. He is being monitored by Fonz and the Zanscare higher-ups. They think that new types might be born on Earth, which is something they didn't know apparently. Chronicle excuses himself. He and Katagina do an Aaron Sorkin walk and talk before running into Uso. He attacks, but Chronicle gives him a good old gut punch. Shakti breaks out of the estate to find Chronicle taking Uso away. She hopes that he will be okay. The guy that the kids ran into was a friend of Tomas and his family. There are some within Zanscare that oppose the Guillotine. This factory happens to have Victory Gundam. They notice Uso, Maria, and Chronicle pulling up in a car. Maria wants Uso to convince her to join the Zanscare royalty, but Uso goes, yeah, no, you guys cut heads off. That's gonna be a hard sell. They leave Uso to help with the Gundam repairs. She doesn't know how to end a conversation with children, so she gives him candy and leaves. The kids try to get Uso's attention. Silavago comes in and says, let me get some of that. Maria says the kids hate us because we use the guillotine. Silavago says, then we should send them to the guillotine. The kids knock out the guards. The mechanic is like, yo, you're gonna run this contract for me. The kids say we are going to have to punch you and tie you up. Uso finishes the candy to find a map showing all of the defensive weak spots at the ceremony being held tomorrow. It also has Shakti's location. Maria wants to break Shakti out. Chronicle tells Shakti everything will be different after the ceremony, but she says her mother is dead. It's not the healthiest way to handle it, but it is very effective for moving on. The next day, Queen Harmonia speaks to the people. She says, gaze upon my light. Many of the wounded come to see her and are healed of their ailments. The kids come to save Susie and Shakti while the healings happen. Fonz Kagari comes out and says now that the miracles have happened, it's time for a witch hunt. He busts out the guillotine where he plans on killing Marbay, Uso, and Tassila Vago. Wait, why? I assume for failing the attack on the League? Odello gets in the Gundam and Tomas in the fixed easy gun. They cause a riot and get Uso free. He gets into the Gundam and Marbay the easy gun. That is when Cartagena attacks Uso in the Rig Shukyu. The ZM S-22 Rig Shukyu is a mass production version of the Shukyu. Compared to the prototype, the generator output has been increased and has more powerful thrusters. This alloy composite contains more titanium, making this more durable as well. The beam rotor is replaced with the beam shield, but can be added if ever under gravity. The shoulder-mounted beam guns are removed as well, and has more hand-carried weapons, which include a beam string emitter, a beam rifle, a beam saber, a beam fan, and a hand beam gun. It also has hardpoints to hold all these weapons. Cartagena hesitates to fire, but Uso doesn't as he unleashes his Vulcans. She is wildly shooting beam shots in the colony. Uso rushes in. Cartagena hits her leg, but Uso slices her beam rifle in half. Cartagena speaks to Uso. Marbay gets behind her, but she dodges and hits Marbay. Uso ejects his boots and rams them into the Rig Shukyu. Contios come in to assist. A beam blast opens a hole in the colony from the outside. It is Oliver, Junko, and some javelins coming in to assist. The two exit and head to the Reinforced Junior, but Uso decides to head off on his own. The kids were somehow able to find the bonefish. Uso comes in to assist them by taking out the Zolo. Someone attacks from behind. Uso gets hit and has to eject the top, leaving him with just the core fighter. It is Cartagena. She has a clear shot on the core fighter and takes it. But Junko comes in with the easy gun and blocks the attack. It destroys the easy gun, but Junko ejects and Uso picks her up. Meanwhile, the Reinforced Junior is working on capturing the Kalos Gill. Now that it is relevant, let's break it down. The Kalos Gill is a large attack satellite created by the Zanscare Empire. This was originally designed to attack Earth from orbit. Its overall length is 1,320 meters. This can be remotely accessed by Tassilo's Squid class, which happens to now be the Reinforced Junior. Because of this, it will fall into the hands of Ligue Militaire. It has the large satellite cannon and a long-range beam cannon. Also, yes, it does look like a penis, and yes, I am the first one to think of this. It's not the first thing every male viewer thinks of. Tamino-san, we are 10 seconds short on this episode. What should we do? Just do a very long and slow pan to the colony. Also, did you make sure the Kalos Gill looks like a dick and balls? Yes, Tamino-senpai. Junko tells Uso that this is the League's opportunity to take down Materma Zungan's fleet by using Kalos Gill against them. The Fetty Javelins helping out the Reinforced Junior aren't going to be enough. Shakti gets a bad omen and tells Uso not to go out, but Uso ignores her. Junko wants to head out, but Uso tells her to rest while he launches. They didn't have time to reassemble the Gundam and he has to transform in the field. Why does he lick his lips when he thinks about mobile suit strategy? The Shukyu once again stops Victory Gundam. Junko is about to get a fatal blow on Chronicle, but Cartagena attacks, knocking her gun easy out of order. Junko notices Chronicle and follows on foot. He is activating the bomb that will deactivate the remote interface, and Reinforced Junior won't be able to remote activate Kalos Gill. Junko shoots at him. Uso comes in as Cartagena picks up Chronicle. Junko finds a bomb and tries to stop it, but the bomb goes off, killing Junko. Connie is now the last standing Shrike Team member, if you don't count those other three. Uso is in shock from watching Junko blow up, since the remote activation has been taken out. Robert Garcia tells Uso to manually activate it so Junko doesn't die in vain. Yes, emotionally manipulating a kid into more murder. Yes. He heads to the control room and activates the system. Chronicle tells Cartagena to fire at a dead Contio to knock the cannon out of alignment. Uso fires. Cartagena also fires to alter the path, but it is too late. It takes out the Materma fleet, but it doesn't hit the colony. Shakti faints from being right all the time. The Reinforced Junior plans on hiding out in Macedonia colony, even though it has fallen under Zanscare control. Macedonia has its own army, unlike most colonies, and some don't like the Zanscare occupation. The Macedonian soldiers takes the crew to a work camp for now. They're having a great time. Marbay and Oliver are going to get married in the hopes that the soldiers will let their guard down. Also, free day off of work? Yeah, I'll take that. Their marriage makes Uso jealous. He tells Marbay and realizes he is super jelly. She says, "Did you hear that, Connie? I think Uso wants to put a baby in me." Shakti walks in and Uso runs out due to embarrassment. This is peak Tamino right here. I love it. Uso then rams into Oliver and goes, "What's up, bro?" Otis has fixed Hato, and he is kicking once again. Oliver and Marbei finally get married. Shakti catches the bouquet. Chronicle and Arbeo launch the new Einarads with the Geldavs from an Andrastia-class ship. The Einarad is an all-terrain big-wheel subflight system. The wheel can withstand beam attacks. Because of its wheel design, this unit is vulnerable if you attack its flanks. But also the wheel can just run a mobile suit over no problem. Even though it is a wheel, it could fly, operate in space, and function underwater. Weapons include a pair of beam cannons and a missile launcher. The ZM-S-24G Gedlab is developed to be basically used with the Einarad, which makes this unit small at 13.8 meters tall. This suit has light armor and is vulnerable without the Einarad. Ultimately, the Einarad does most of the work, and the Gedlab should be considered the cockpit and escape unit. It does, however, have a beam shield, a beam rifle, and a beam saber. Macedonia isn't allowing the Andrastia into the colony. They believe in the Queen, but won't be controlled by their military. Boss, this episode is short as well. Slow pan? Slow pan. Thanks to Mino-san. The boys try to sneak out of the work camp. Alright boys, just like we rehearsed. Remember the choreography. Suddenly their moves are broken up by a Zanscare attack. Everyone in the camp is woken up. Soldiers come looking for a girl named Shakti, which gives everyone an opportunity to hit someone in the nuts. Except for Flanders, he didn't get the memo. Tone it down, dog. Einarad comes in doing a sweet ollie, then grinds on the building. Zanscare begins taking out military facilities. Katagina is met with Gwigsies. Others are met with the M5 heavy gun. The Gwigsie is an anti-riot petite mobile armor used by Zanscare and the Macedonian army. It is mainly used for riot suppression and is used by the police. Weapons include a single machine gun. The RGM-109 M5 heavy gun is a variant of the RGM-109 heavy gun made for the Macedonian army. It is smaller and weighs less than the normal heavy gun, yet it has a more powerful reactor. There are many modifications to this unit, but it was built before the James gun and it simply can't hold its own during the UC-150s. Weapons include the same beam rifle as the heavy gun, a beam saber, and a regular shield. It doesn't even have a beam shield. The reinforced junior crew break out of the work camp. Katagina takes out the Gwigsies. Robert Gomez goes up to the spaceport kiosk and says, 80 tickets, please. Just kidding. We're hijacking this place. He proceeds to give him a good old gut punch. The pilots run a distraction while they get into the Victory Gundams. Yuka, Oliver, Connie, and Marbei take off. Also, what's the deal with Yuka, Malaria, and Francesca? They are Shrike girls, but they aren't a part of the original 6 and are just barely hanging around in the background most of the time. What's that about? An Einarad follows Uso into a corridor. Uso transforms using the top to block the attack. He takes off in the core fighter. He is stalling to allow Shakti to get away. However, the Einarad captures Uso. The escape is still in action. Uso was captured to help Shakti and the kids escape with the reinforced junior. Susie, being the little psychopath that she is helping Odella shoot people. The Victory Gundam moves into Side 2. Katagina shakes Uso out of the core fighter. As she yells at him about new types, Lieutenant Lupe Chanot comes in and says she will handle him. Marbei tells Shakti that Uso will return to the ship soon, as they were after her and Uso acted as a distraction. The reinforced junior blasts a hole and flees out into space. Zanscare is working with the Macedonian army. Shinnok blames them on the League escaping, as they also put them in an internment camp last episode. One of Shinnok's underlings roughhouses Uso. The Shinnok comes in giving him a bright slap. They're going to use him to get to Shakti, and wants to treat him more with respect. The reinforced junior is on the outside of Side 2, hiding on the hole. They find a way to break in, but the kids don't want to risk going. So naturally, they send the dog and the robot instead. Their lives don't matter as much, it's fine. Meanwhile, Shinnok decides to take the sexual assault route to getting intel. It's not rape if you like it, kid. Now you better get to liking. Tamina really takes boyhood fantasies to the next level. Uso runs away. He needs an adult. All the men in the room proceed to pull off this boy's pants. Just a normal day in the Zanscare Empire, I guess. Katagina wants to let Uso escape because he will lead them right to Shakti. Naked Uso climbs on the ledge when Hato and Flanders comes in running a distraction. He jumps down and gets into the core fighter. Also, did Hato just shoot this guy? Shinnok's boobs hurt from Uso biting it. Katagina takes off after Uso. The core fighter is barely hanging in there. He notices that there is an air leak in the cockpit. He He plugs up the hole with Flanders' nasty-ass dog hair. The strike team, Marbe, and Oliver launch from the Reinforced Junior. Shinnok rushes in and attacks the core fighter when a beam blast comes in. It is the League to help out. With them is the White Ark carrying the new Gundam. The White Ark is a subflight system. It has an engine room, a bridge, and a missile room. The bridge can retract into the hull of the ship when it is in battle form. It can also attach a booster for long hauls. It can hold 4 mobile suits and resembles the Mega Rider from Double Zeta. / Moon Gundam weapons include 2 quadruple missile launchers. Uso moves towards the White Ark with Thomas and the kids on it, while the League moves in to save Uso. They also save Hato just drifting out into space. Also, Uso mentions that Hato makes soap bubbles, which is how he projects images. So Hato is just a bubble machine. Hato, you have the ability to save the world, but today, you're making bubbles. Katajina takes the Einarad's wheel right to Oliver's face, but he uses his beam shield. There is no dock for his core fighter on the White Ark, so they use Hato's bubbles as an air dock to get Uso onto the ship. Martina and Alicia see Uso's penis, or as they say in Japanese, as Uso gets into a normal suit, the girls wish him and his penis good luck. An embarrassed Uso gets into Gundam Victory 2. The LM314V21 Victory Gundam 2 is the successor to Victory Gundam and is created with the help of Uso's mother, Myra. Like the original Victory Gundam, this consists of the core fighter, a top, and boots which can connect together. This unit, however, has the Minovsky drive system, which is an upgrade to the Minovsky flight system of the old Gundam. With the exception of a few thrusters, this unit's core propulsion no longer uses force and is all guided by Minovsky particles. It makes sense if you read Crossbone Gundam, but it should be noted that the pilot doesn't feel G-forces and Minovsky drives act as inertia mitigating devices. Like many Minovsky drives of the time, this too can create the Wings of Light phenomenon. It has hardpoints and a custom targeting sensor. Weapons include head Vulcans, a beam saber, a beam shield, and a beam rifle, which triples as a beam pistol and multi-launcher. It also has a mega beam rifle, a beam shield, a beam bazooka, and various mines. Uso comes in with the Wings of Light, tearing through Shinnok's wheel. He goes directly after Katajina and destroys her wheel as well. She retreats back to the Adrastea-class ship. Meanwhile, Shinnok's underling, whose name I refuse to learn, rushes V2. Uso has been carrying his old V1 core fighter with him during this battle. He throws the core fighter, which has the nuclear reactor inside of it, and throws it at the nameless subordinate and vaporizes everything in the area. Sometimes it's just not worth learning some people's names. Chronicle and the Adrastea retreat. Uso learned in the cockpit that Myra Miguel sent the plans to them from the moon. This is Uso's mother. Also, is it Myra or Mueller? They say Mueller, but why does the wiki translate it to Myra? I don't get things sometimes. There doesn't seem to be a good consensus on this. He is mad that the League never told them. They have to explain to him that they are a rebellion and they can't send names over communication lines giving away their location, especially since we learn that Uso's parents play a vital role in the League. Even Shakti seems to understand that they have to lay low, but Uso is being emotional. Someone give him a bright slap. Uso has a flashback of his mother showing him how to throw a knife. It should be noted that this isn't the first time we've seen Uso's mother. Let's go back to Crossbone Gundam Steel 7. The F-99 record breakers were just destroyed by the Jupiter Empire, and Minoru joins the space pirates to find the new Wings of Light. As they leave SNRI on the moon, Otis Arkins, who also went over my head at the time, looks out along with another engineer in the background. This is Uso's mother. This is why Otis also knows his mother is most likely on the moon. Uso snaps out of his flashback. He is in the middle of a battle and unleashes the Wings of Light. He says, "Stop fighting me, I want to see my mommy." They lead Shinnok's team into a trap of laser pods, and the League retreats. Marbe notes that Uso is getting better at working as a team. Uso returns to the White Ark and heads towards the moon while the Reinforce waits for parts for repairs. Meanwhile, on the moon, Chronicle and his team are also searching for the League. The White Ark meets up with Thomas's brother. They hide the White Ark and take his buggy to the League's secret base within the moon city, St. Joseph. Uso says that they will never find his mother. 2 seconds later, a car crashes and his mother runs away. That was easy. They chase his mother. Mysterious G-men come out and harass her before Uso and Hato come in to the rescue. Hato says, "Eat my bubbles, bitch." This is a real bubble-heavy episode. They get Uso's mother to a safe place. The rest of the episode is a recap episode where Uso tells his mother his adventures. Odello and the kids learn how to use the gun easies by doing mobile worker stuff in the hangar. Oliver takes off with supplies to fix the Reinforced Junior. Shakti feels helpless, but Suji just tells her to do some laundry. One comes in looking for the Reinforced Junior crew. Luckily, Yuka and Peggy are still there in the hangar. He informs them that the Zanscare Motorrad crew are looking in the area. Shakti leaves Carl with Susie. She's going to search the suspicious tunnel where they found Uso's mom. Perhaps she could find Zanscare. The G-men that were harassing Uso's mom are working for Chronicle. They continue their search. Meanwhile, Odello is struggling to find a balance while in the mobile suit. When Uso returns, Shakti is nowhere to be found. He and Mueller/Myra go to find her. While looking in the bar, Shakti is captured by 2 G-men. Uso takes the core fighter and ends up finding out where the Zanscare is hiding out in the Lunar City. They catch up with the G-men, who are carrying Shakti. She tells him to let her go so she can negotiate with Chronicle. What are we doing here? Why are we doing this again? Struggling to fill 50 episodes, I see. Myra drops down on the truck. Shino's Einarad is attacked by Oliver and his team. Myra drops into the truck and grabs Shakti before firing off a flare and jumping out. It blinds the G-men and Katajina accidentally runs them over. Whoops! Uso is able to save Shakti, but Katajina grabs Myra. The forces engage in battle. Odello and Warren launch in gun easies to help the team. Uso says, "Give me back my mommy!" Katajina heads back to the Adrestia. Oliver ejects his core fighter, and Uso takes his place. He transforms into V2 while Oliver goes for the Adrestia. He says that he entrusts Marbay with his child. Oh hey, they had sex. Ew. He crashes into the Adrestia, killing himself in the process. It, however, does nothing to the Adrestia class. Marbay can sense something is wrong with Oliver. Shino gets a direct hit on Marbay, but Odello comes in and saves her, as she was hesitating. I guess these two know military tactics now somehow. The Reinforced Junior and Adrestia fire at one another. Katajina gets away. Shakti tells Uso not to fire so he doesn't hit his mother. Instead of being sad by the death of Oliver, Marbay gets angry and tries to ignore it. Odello apologizes for her loss, and she finally breaks down crying. Uso blames himself for his death. The Adrestia docks at a Maryland-class ship. The Maryland-class ship is a supply ship used by the Zanscare Empire. It has a docking bay and resembles the Levian Rose-class ship. It is unknown if there are any weapons. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but Chronicle views Arbeo as a mentor. He suggests that they use an unconventional mobile armor, which is piloted by Broho. Bro even has Bro in his name. Broho launches in the Daggor. The ZMT A31S Dagorla, or Daggor, is designed to mimic a dragon. What makes this unit special is the tail rad segments. Segments of the mobile armor can break off and rearrange depending on tactical needs. This operates in space as well as underwater without losing mobility. It is equipped with a beam gun on each wrist, chest missile launchers, 10 beam cannons, a tail beam gun, and cloud mines. Katajina wants to launch and observe the mobile armor. Back with the League, Uso, Odello, and Thomas are running training exercises led by a very angry Marbay. Uso lands with ease, but Odello and the Gunblaster stop short while Thomas just crashes into everyone. Katajina and a Ninarad team catches up to the Dagbor. Marbay is now in charge of a team of children. She is piloting the Hexa, while Uso pilots V2. Thomas launches in the Gunblaster. The LM111 E03 Gun Blaster is a mass production mobile suit that is a modified gun easy, which was mainly used for terrestrial use. It has added binders to improve the MBAC system. These can be ejected as needed. This is more or less still a gun easy. Weapons include a pair of Vulcans, a beam saber, a 2-tube missile pod on the left shoulder, a beam shield, a beam rifle which doubles as a beam pistol, and a beam bazooka. It also has hardpoints and can use the spider net. The kids in the White Ark hold the rear and run support. The Shrike Girls are also there too, for now. They engage with the dog door. Odello and Thomas are attacked from the rear by Einarads, but Marbay is holding the rear down. Uso has to take on the dog door in the front. He begins attacking and it breaks apart. The separate pieces try to attack Uso before connecting back together. Thomas and Odello are once again caught off guard and saved by Marbay. Katajina's Einarad is destroyed. Her Gedlav is almost taken out too, but Broho saves her. Marbay uses children as shields. Most of the Gedlavs lose their Einarads and they retreat. The dog door goes for Marbay. This finally motivates Thomas and Odello to get off their asses and be useful. Odello somehow drifts into the Maryland-class ship and passes out. Uso comes to save him. He gets out of his cockpit and shakes him. He seems to be having a seizure and trying to bite his tongue. The Maryland engineers try to stop the mobile suits from moving. Uso prevents Odello from biting his tongue, and the two rejoin the battle with the dog door. Those engineers did nothing. V2 punches the dog door in the head before he is thrown out. He charges at the mobile armor with his beam saber and stabs it in the head, taking out the dog door. As they head back, Marbay cries about using children as shields as she thinks of Oliver. Back at the Reinforced Junior, Marbay has Oliver's ashes. How? Dude probably vaporized on impact. That's more Gundam ashes than Oliver ashes. Oh, my bad, we're being respectful right now. Everyone takes some of the ashes and spread them out in space in honor of Oliver and all those who have fallen. The kids give Marbay's Gundam the Commander helmet, which has the V-fin. On the Adrastea, Katagina is given permission to launch. She seems to be in charge of the squad now, with Shino and the other guys I keep forgetting. They are attacking while the League makes their way to Earth. The Reinforced Junior Mobile Suit team detects the Einarads, and notice that there are only 3 of them. One Einarad hula hoops Uso, but he uses the Wings of Light to get out of there. Uso also does a JoJo level Nani in this moment. Katagina's Gedlav spins her Einarad around and throws it at the Reinforced Junior. Katagina throws her wheel, but Odello and Thomas come in and protects Uso. They prepare for re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. Katagina's Gedlav latches on to V2 as they start re-entry. She says, Kawakunai, or he isn't cute, but all translations translates this to unlovable for some reason. She is trying to push him away, and a kid would react to cute more than unlovable. Well, maybe, I don't know. Marbay gets behind the Reinforced Junior. Katagina gets out of there as her Gedlav can't handle re-entry. The League finally makes it back to Earth. Uso hangs onto the ship as they land in the water. Odello walks off the White Ark, forgetting gravity has been turned on. Uso saves him while the team docks at the Underhook. This is an underwater city helping the League. Carl pisses himself. Look, Carl does 3 things in this show. He cries, he pisses himself, and he occasionally laughs. While looking at fish, Shakti notices Katagina being wheeled away on a stretcher. She tells Uso, who chases after her. Katagina wakes up surrounded by a cult? Let's go with cult. They believe in Maria Armonia's ideals, which is spreading peace through motherly love. And new type space magic to power a giant weapon. Everyone forgets that part. Uso and Shakti break into the temple? Lair. I'm gonna go with lair. They say now that you have entered, you must embrace our cult. Uso calls out for Katagina. She reveals herself and says, "Don't look at me. That girl right there is Maria's daughter." The cult grabs Shakti and takes her away. The Motorrad squad begins attacking Underhook. Lupe Shino is piloting an orange dog gore and distracts the Reinforced Junior. Yeah, underwater cities seem a little fragile, don't you think? Uso tries to catch up to Shakti, but is swept away by the water. He finds himself back to his Gundam. The dog door shoots in net and captures Odello and Thomas. They use their beam saber at low power to cut through the net. They can't fire their beam rifle. Uso then proceeds to fire his beam rifle underwater. Do your words mean nothing, anime? We know that 1-year war era beam tech dissipates underwater, but can be used at 20%. I wonder what it is during this era. While fighting, Uso notices Shakti and a sub getting away. Shino chases him out of the water where his beam tech works at 100%. The dog gore breaks off its tail and hula hoops Uso. It phases Uso only for a second before getting the upper hand on Shino. She retreats. The tub makes it to the Adrastea and then dives underwater fleeing. Shakti asks Uncle Chronicle, "Hey man, you want to stop this fighting?" He goes, "Nah." Uso and the League are out searching for Shakti. He has Hado docked behind him now. Odello is underwater struggling to stop himself from pooping as his normal suit diaper is full. Why do I feel like the mission only started 10 minutes ago, but this is already a problem for him? Get your bowels or bladder together, dude. He spots Einarads and uses an underwater cable to contact the White Ark. Old Lady Esther meets up with the other old League guys and informs them that they are consolidating their forces back on Earth, and the Fetties are planning on helping them out finally. The strike team launches after the Motorrad team. Odello is the first one on the scene when he is instantly spotted by a Zolidia. The ZM S06G Zolidia is based off of the Zolot and designed for ground use on Earth. This replaces the Gedlav as the core unit for the Einarad. It doesn't have the beam string emitter like the Zolot due to the shoulder armor. Weapons include 2 4-barrel Vulcan guns, a beam shield, a beam saber, a pair of beam cannons, and the Shakyu's beam rifle. On the surface is the Motorrad crew along with Duker in the Lysithia class. The Lysithia class is a bike battleship designed to run support with the Adrastea. As this ship is a smaller version of that ship, it adapted wheel technology to the Einarad and added it to the battleship. Like the Adrastea, the wheel can split for space use. Weapons include 2 2-barrel main cannons, 12 secondary guns, and 6 tube missile launchers. What kind of psychopath thinks we need a big wheel? The only right answer to that question is the Spider-Man supervillain aptly named Big Wheel. Now that I think about it, Big Wheel did have a comeback in the 90s. Tamino, you reading some Marvel comics? The Motorrad team begins Operation Clean the Land. Real subtle. Just call it Operation Genocide at that point. Arbeo has his own Lysithia class as well. Meanwhile, Thomas is looking for Odello when he is attacked by the Zolidia pilot. He isn't paying attention, and Odello comes in, knocking him off his Einarad. Odello says, "I'm stealing your wheels." As the Motorrad makes it to shore, the Fetty Javelins begin attacking. This woman gets more character development in 10 seconds before dying. She even gets a love interest. That's how you optimize screen time. Uso saves some children with the clock tower. Katajina is now piloting a Zolidia and tells Uso to surrender. They begin fighting. He hangs onto her Einarad while she talks about Maria cleansing the world to make it better. Shakti wants to see Chronicle, but she is being held prisoner. Odello brings the Zolidia and the pilot as prisoner to the League. Romero says, "This is cool, but you really should be helping out the Shrike team on the front. So many people are dying." Thomas and Odello head off with their new Einarad. Their beam sabers are the only thing that could penetrate the Adrastia armor. Uso is able to sense his mother. He meets up with Odello and Thomas and takes out an Einarad. Uso rushes in and does a sweet 50-50, taking out the Lysithia cannons. Yuka fights Katajina. Uso tries to change the course of the Motorrad team before their next wave. A nuclear reactor goes off. A mushroom cloud consumes the sky. On the ground, Connie wonders if they should kamikaze and activate the reactors as well, but that would cause a nuclear winter. Uso seems to have a similar idea as he finds a mobile suit to blow up. Uso finds a javelin, and the Shrike Girls and Marbet jump in to defend Uso. He shoots the reactor, setting off another nuke. Otis and the Olds mention that when the Fetties get there, things are about to get worse. Chronicle lifts his Adrastia in the air and meets up with Arbeo's Lysithia class ship. They are ordered to retreat, but Uso wants his mommy. Odello punches him. Nice. The Motorrad crew continues its rampage through South America. Oh hey, what a nice mission. I am sure they do a lot of good for the community. How is Zanscare gonna handle this? Yeah, that's about right. Yuka moves up in the world and is now piloting a Victory Gundam along with Marbet. Their mission is to take out the Motorrad's tires. The Reinforced Jr. follows behind. Last episode, Odello captured a Zolidia pilot. He is able to steal a fork when the League feeds him. He uses the fork to break out of his cuffs and out of the room. The pilot sneaks to the hangar to find that the League fixed the Zolidia. He gets into the mobile suit, where Odello is hiding behind the cockpit. The Zolidia grabs Victory Gundam and takes off, not knowing Uso is also in the cockpit. The League is allowing the Zanscare pilot to flee and lead them to the Motorrad team. Thomas chases after him in his gun blaster. On the battlefield, Lupe Chanot is in the new Brucking. The ZM-S21G Brucking is an improved version of the Gedlav. The problem with the Gedlav is that the enemy stole the Einarad constantly. Zanscare created the segmented Einarad, which collapses and is stored on the Brucking's back when not in use. Weapons include a beam saber, a beam rifle, a beam shield, and an optional 9-tube missile pod on the shoulders. The Zanscare pilot Gaz docks with the Adrastia class ship. When dropped, Hato yells out ouch and almost gives away their position. Bitch, you can't feel pain. Gaz thinks he should probably meet with the new team leader, Katajina. Outside, Marbet and the others are still trying to attack the Motorrad ships. Uso and Odello sneak out and pretend to be janitorial staff. At that same time, Uso tries to break his mother out. She tells Uso that Shakti is on this ship, and to save her, she will handle placing bombs as a distraction. Another nuke goes off as a Federation ship's reactor explodes from Arbeo's attacks. Katajina tells Chronicle of the Victory Gundam Gaz acquired. She heads out to fight Marbet, but realizes something isn't right. That is when an explosion goes off on the Adrastia. Odello throws a fire extinguisher at a guard, and they save Shakti and Carlman. They pretend to take the two prisoners. "I will kill this baby if you get close to me." Chronicle rushes over and realizes it's just Uso. He tells his men that he won't harm them and to capture the children. Odello shoots in a narrow hallway and completely misses? Work on your aim, dude. But it allows them to flee. Alright, Flanders, I'm gonna need you to slide down this pole, then do a sweet grind on this railing, all while getting no treat. Someone get this dog a treat. That is when a plastic explosive is thrown. It is Uso's mother. She says, "I will blow up everyone right here, including this baby and dog." This allows the gang to flee. But that is when Mueller is tackled from behind. Speaking of tackle, Hato used tackle. Uso flings the baby into the mobile suit. Like, he literally flings it. Earlier, while in disguise, Odello tried to hit on a Zanscare girl. During their escape, he notices that the girl was killed. He goes, "Oh well, I'm over it." Katajina fights Uso and they flee. Chronicle has captured Mueller. Or Myra. I forgot what we decided last time. Uso climbs up the Adrastea towards the bridge. He sees his mother, but she is smiling. This causes Uso to retreat. They are finally finished with repairs to V2, and they launch a rescue mission for Mueller. They must once again go for the tires. Chronicle is catching up to Arbeo and his Lysithea class. Gaz launches. He links up with Chronicle's group and takes Mueller with him. There are already talks of him getting the Guillotine, so he wants to surrender. But he needs someone to go with him so he doesn't outright get shot. This is all a ruse. Meanwhile, for the 1000th time, Uso wonders, this person I always fight, is that Katagina? It's been like this nonstop for about 20 episodes and it's getting exhausting. Meanwhile, Gaz and Mueller escape in a Zolidia. The two once again fight. They escape from Chronicle's Adrastea. The giant bike ship activates its beam shield. The League notices a dam nearby. They could use this to their advantage. Shots are fired as they all attack the dam, causing the ravine to flood. The Motorrad braces for impact. Instead of escaping, Gaz watches for some reason. Uso comes in and the two fight. Arbeo's real orders to Gaz were to use Mueller to draw out Uso. The two mobile suits are in a standoff as Uso wonders what he should do. Gaz fires while Uso evades. That is when Katagina comes in and tries to stop Gaz. She knows Chronicle wouldn't give this order. Gaz begins retreating. Chronicle is disappointed in his mentor, and he will have to punish both him and Gaz. Uso slices off Gaz's legs, and Marbei stabs the cockpit. His mobile suit is damaged, but he still uses his beam saber to prevent Uso from getting close to his mom. He approaches the Adrastea. Yes, of course. Stop doing this. As he fights off Katagina, his mother says that he is a warrior and to forget about her. He tries to use a beam saber, but that would just vaporize Mueller. That is when, out of nowhere, a giant motorcycle comes crashing into the Adrastea, knocking off Uso's V2, while decapitating Mueller. Look, there it goes. We essentially just watched one of those lathe videos gone wrong, but in animated form. The bow of the Adrastea is wrecked, but it is still functioning. Chronicle denounces Arbeo and his methods. Zanscare sends out an Earth-wide retreat back into space. Chronicle throws up the white flag. Yeah, I would probably pretend I didn't see that after watching my mom's head get ripped off. Look, there it goes again. The Adrastea retreats. Uso gives Marbei his mother's head. That's fucked all around. Also, how long did it take for you to scout out the area and find the head? Why not the body? Is there anything left of the body? It seems like a lot of time wasted on the front, just to get sad. Like, what is your mom's head gonna do, man? Keeping it as a souvenir. Uso finds a barn thinking Bespa might be hiding. Since there is a ceasefire, the kids want to go to Casarelia where Uso could spread his mother's ashes. The ceasefire is indeed a way for Zanscare to buy time. Duker and his Lysithea crew has unfinished business. Brenda scouts and finds their team in her new Domutlia. The ZMS-27G Domutlia, or Domatoria, is the successor to the Tomlia. It has better overall performance and a large flexible tail for stability. It also has pincers in the head that produces a shock bit. This utilizes a twin rad. Other weapons include a beam rotor, a 4-tube missile pod, a beam tomahawk, Vulcan guns, and a beam rifle. The gang goes fishing using the White Ark. Martina and those who grew up in space don't like the smell of the sea. Duker's team begins a preemptive attack under the water. The gang luckily brought their mobile suits with them. Duker's team is using Zolidias and Jabacos riding the Twin Rad. The Twin Rad, much like the Anorad, is a sublight system wheel, but this time with double the wheel along with long-range beam cannons and a 2-pod missile launcher. The ZM S-20S Jabaco is a close-range mobile suit inspired by the Goof. Like the Goofs, this too has an updated and enhanced heat rod. It has hardpoints and can equip a long-range rifle under certain circumstances, like seen in Crossbone Ghost. Other weapons include a beam shield, a beam saber, and a beam rifle. The Twin Rad moves with ease over the water. Odello and Tomas protect the White Ark, while Marbei fights Duker and his Jabaco. The White Ark is slightly hit. They fire the megaparticle cannons to float the ship towards an island. The kids get a lesson in how to water cool things. It's all fun and games until Shakti almost explodes. She is bleeding. The island that they land on has bones of dead whales. The nukes and all the fighting in South America is destroying the ecosystems. Uso destroys the Twin Rad, setting off a fusion reactor. Radiation. Shakti goes, boy, if we treated the Earth better, perhaps we wouldn't be in this mess. Don't lecture me, Shakti. But she, like many before her, lay the burden on humanity. However, unlike the Mafti approach, she thinks coexistence on Earth is possible. Duker and Lysithea be duking it out. Rinda heads out in the Demutlia. This is a beam shield heavy episode, as many blocks are made. If you cut a twin rad down the middle, will it make it an Einarad? Nope, I guess not. The Fedi forces begin advancing from the north. Uso transforms, but he needs another pair of boots. Marbay is attacked. Rinda goes into attack, but Uso stabs the Demutlia. All that remains is Rinda from her team. The enemy retreats. The kids were saved by some League loyalists in the area. They are able to have a moment to breathe. Alicia and Martina are starting to get used to the smell of Earth. For Warren Trace, this means he has a chance. Uso wonders to himself if he will always want to seek revenge for his mother. Duker's team is getting repairs. Rinda is sketching a cabin. Duker wonders what it is. She says it is a cabin she wants to build after the invasion. Duker asks if there is room for him. Oh, he's going to die. He gives her a necklace that once belonged to his mother. Oh, hey, they're both going to die. Uso could sense that Marbay isn't feeling well. She goes back to the White Ark to rest while the team searches for Duker. Martina happens to be with Odello. While scouting, they spot a twin rad. It is Rinda. The two engage in battle. Rinda's Demutlia hits a tanker that happens to have gas. Odello and Martina hide out while he tries to make moves on her. Tomas and Uso fight the Demutlia and twin rads. Marbay launches again. They move towards the White Ark, which begins firing missiles. The Lysithea rises from the water and bombards the kids and White Ark. Lysithea traps the White Ark in a spider net. Once the net stops emitting electricity, they must replace their ship's memory chips. Splish splash, everyone decides to take a bath. Uso is holding off a wave with his beam shield. Tomas goes in to help. Rinda grapples with Uso. Meanwhile, Odello and the gun blaster is pushing a tanker towards the battle as a distraction. He makes it to the battlefield. Uso dodges Rinda's beam blast. He uses the wings of light on his back to slice through Rinda's right arm and leg. She lands on top of the bridge. Odello drops off Martina on the White Ark. Earlier, he too gave Martina a necklace and told her to hold on to it. Kisu. He rushes in and is actually able to stop the Lysithea by destroying the bridge, taking out Duker and Rinda. The power of boners! They draw a white flag. A motorcycle flees from the ship. It is the ghosts of Duker and Rinda. They're going to build that cabin they always wanted to build. Ooh, ghost cabin. Odello brags to Warren Trace that Alicia kissed him and Warren isn't making any progress with Martina. Also, I think I've been confusing the two in the past, saying Alicia is Martina and vice versa. So if you made it here, just Mandela effect yourself into thinking I said it right this whole time. Uso thinks back to his mother losing his head while holding her helmet. This isn't healthy, kid. He is snapped out of his thoughts when Marbay tells him of a unit approaching. But they disappear into the forest, and they never engage in combat. Something doesn't seem right. The team finally makes it to Casarelia. In the forest is a rogue mobile suit team led by Lieutenant Mathis Walker. He is piloting a Zolo Kai. The ZM SO8 GC Zolo Kai has only one unique difference between it and the original Zolo. It has an additional sensor in the left eye. This improves range and allows the unit to snipe. It has the same loadout as the Zolo, with the exception of the depth charges. Walker wants to take down the White Gundam. They then hear Shakti's song as the kids ride through the forest. They make it back to Uso and Shakti's home when it begins to rain. But it isn't rain. Like last episode, the waves are crashing hard, spraying the nearby areas. The White Ark must be in trouble. Uso gets on his little wappa and heads back. A lot of the show is going to a place and then going back to a place. You notice that? A lot of back and forth. He finds his old paraglider. It's about time. You can't start this anime with Flying Uso and not deliver on that again. The Flying Uso returns. They see Uso heading towards the White Ark, and they decide to drop V2. Uso's like, man, why do you guys have to make me work for it? It's not like he has a choice, because just then his parachute is shot. He falls onto V2 and gets in. Tomas launches as well. Uso falls into the water. When he emerges, the wings of light are activated. Shakti notes that Uso isn't being as careless, and his skills have greatly improved. I get where Shakti is coming from, but don't say that right before you show me Uso tumbling into the mobile suit. Walker focuses on the White Gundam, who picks up the kids who are escaping in a Wappa. He is flying into a trap laid by Walker. Uso drops the kids off at White Ark. Odello and Marbay launch now that the kids could pilot White Ark. Uso is struggling to attack Zanscare pilots. He has been acting this way since his mother's death. Since he is just evading, Thomas says he will handle it. Walker links up with 2 more units, but one is shut down, exploding the reactor. How are you not flying away, Hato? Thomas follows Walker and the remaining Zanscare mobile suits. Marbay and Odello follow suit, with Uso taking the rear. Tomas takes out the boots of 1 unit, but the Zanscare pilot gets extra boots. Tomas went in too far and is overwhelmed. Uso realizes it is a trap. Tomas tries to retreat, but his unit isn't functioning properly. He crash lands in the forest. Uso's PTSD from his mother's death is kicking into high gear. The White Ark fires its cannons and missiles. Some go down, but they continue forward. This is a kamikaze attack. Uso, in a fit of anger, moves in and uses the Wings of Light. This is the biggest we have seen on V2 thus far. He takes out Walker's team, but Walker himself remains. Marbay takes out Walker's boots, but he continues rushing towards Uso. He takes out his beam saber, trying to take out both him and Uso, but Uso stops him. He asks why he is doing this. He says it is all for his daughter. Uso gets out and goes to his cockpit, claiming that the war is almost over and they don't have to do this. However, Walker is pretty wrecked. He wonders what a kid is doing fighting. Walker says that Shakti's song reminded him of his daughter. Uso pulls him out of his mobile suit before it explodes, but Walker doesn't make it. At Caesarea, a gravesite has built up, including some of the Shrike girls. They add Walker along with Uso's mother to the gravesite, and Shakti sings her song. I love this moment. Uso is crying, but the moment he sees little Carl crying, he stops and takes care of him. My boy Uso is becoming a man. Carl is making a sound and wakes the gang up in the middle of the night. Some hear the sound of a bell. It brings a bad omen to the gang. The next day, Uso heads to Legrand to pick up a booster so they can head back into space. Zanscare is using the ceasefire to stall, and they have to prepare for what's to come. Suddenly, some kids start pelting Uso with rocks. He realizes this is Walker's family from the picture. The mother comes over and tells Uso, "I know what I'm about to do, but I'm not telling." What an ominous message, lady. Meanwhile, Odello and Warren follow Shakti into Uso's server farm. She is trying to figure out what that bell sound is. Back at Legrand, the city is attacked. It is a beam attack from the sky. Uso goes to find Walker's family and help them. Once found, they head to the White Ark. The ship takes off with its new booster and heads to Caesarea to pick up the kids. They all get in their mobile suits. Uso takes the family to Walker's grave. We get a good 5 minutes of grave crying before the White Ark team catches up to the Reinforced Junior at Legrand. Uso and the team launches and heads up into the stratosphere. The White Ark and mobile suits fire their beam weapons, but they are blocked by a Zanuck. The ZMT S-29 Zanuck is a long-range Zanscare unit. This is designed for new types and has a Psychomu system. It stands on the Zanuck base, which is a subflight system of the sorts. The base also has a beam emitter. Its mega beam cannon is powered by the Minovsky particle accelerator on its back, which could also scatter beams. Other weapons include a 7-tube missile launcher, a beam saber, and a shield. The Zanuck smashes Tomas's head off. It fires off another beam blast towards the Earth. They can't get a hit on it. Marbay gets a lock and fires the White Ark cannon. The two clash, creating a huge explosion. Uso activates the Wings of Light, but still struggles to get a hit. The Zanuck retreats without a scratch. The team is given 1 day to handle business at Caesarea before heading back into space. The White Ark takes off, but the girls sneak back on board, of course. Uso says goodbye to the Walker family before heading into space. In space, the Reinforced Junior and White Ark are heading into battle. The White Ark stays closely behind the Reinforced Junior as it has a beam shield in front. This is Francesca's first time in space. She is still alive, for now. Jabacos attack her and the others. Uso activates the Wings of Light when he hears the bells. The Zanuck's beam rifle comes barreling in. We learn that the pilot of the Zanuck is Fowla. Last we saw her, she was launched out into space as punishment. The bells are put on those who are to be executed via guillotine. I guess she is saying she is already dead. But it also serves a functional purpose. She is a new type and uses the vibrations in the bells to sense the enemy. They also reuse this shot of Fowla over and over again. I don't blame them. Damn, they put a lot of money into making mommy look good. The Shrike team hides behind Uso's Wings of Light, allowing them to push closer to the Zanuck. Uso tilts his wings, attacking Fowla. She takes off with the quickness. Valeria and Francesca pat Uso on the back and ask him which one of the two girls is prettier. think I'm gonna go with Francesca on this one. He dodges the question by saying Yuka, of course, but they aren't buying it. The Shrike girls embarrass him in front of the other kids. They wonder if Carl has sensed the bells. We are seeing that Carl certainly is exhibiting new type potential. Jin and Robert Gomez grab Shakti and Carl and begin using the baby as their new radar system. The anime foreshadows a commercial in the future. The team is heading back to the Highland. As they approach, Uso notices the entire fleet is gathering. He sees a Rockhailum-class ship, which happens to be their flagship, the Joan of Arc. This is a 60-year-old ship, but it has been refitted with a beam shield. They board the ship, where Uso runs into his father, Hengurg Ewan. He thanks Uso for being strong in these times. The father understands that Uso won't forgive him for going into hiding as guerrillas. It also was a coincidence that Uso became the V1 pilot and wasn't a part of a bigger plan by his parents. Fowler lands on a Callisto-class ship where she meets with Tassila Vago, the person who sent her to her death originally. He is the one who secretly saved her. Tassila mentions that Kagari can't get wind of her. The two look at plans of Angel Halo. Back on Joan of Arc, they too are discussing Angel Halo. The League knows it uses a Psychomu and Psycho Waves, but are unsure about how else it operates. Who is this General Revel knockoff? He is Mubarak Stern, the captain of the ship. Technically, Uso's dad is the Revel of the group. Tomas, Odello, and Uso join the briefing. One thing to note is that now that they have met up with Hengurg and the Fetties, they drop the whole Jin shtick and acknowledge that Robert Gomez has been the captain of the Reinforced Junior. Everyone is in awe that they have a new type on board. In the operation, the three kids are going to hang back with the White Ark. Uso is also going to test his new Mega Beam cannon. Arbeo orders Lupe Chanot and her team of Breckons to launch. They're using the Highland to reflect light back at the enemy, making it hard for the Zanscare forces to see them. As they approach, Uso fires the Mega Beam rifle. The League moves forward. Lupe Chanot and Uso begin fighting. With the swiftness, Uso slices through the Breccon's hands and she flees. Uso's dad is very proud of his son as he watches him battle for the first time. Uso is pushing himself too hard. Arbeo notes that Tassila's fleet isn't going to move in. His fleet is acting as a last line of defense for Angel Halo. The League rests up before the next wave. Shakti explains that the bell sounds aren't something that you hear and that it is in your head. Tassilo still refuses to help under the reason of strengthening Angel Halo's defenses. Arbeo realizes that Fowler's execution was all a ruse, and they push the Motorrad team on Earth to prevent them from getting wind of Angel Halo. Lupe is wearing a dress. She says, "Is this doing anything for you? Want to bang it out real quick? Read the room, Lupe." They plan on taking Angel Halo for themselves. Meanwhile, Tassilo just wants Arbeo to die in the process of taking out the League and the Fetties. Back with Arbeo, he is like, "You know what? That dress is doing something for me." She responds by licking his face. Am I witnessing Tomino's pillow talk through the eyes of his art? We know that Lupe is also playing Arbeo and isn't into him at all. She's into Uso. While getting into the Brecken, she passes by Arbeo's Birkenau. We broke down the Birkenau and Crossbone Ghost. But what I didn't mention is that Zanscare named this mobile armor after a goddamn concentration camp. What the hell, man? You're not just on the nose. You are knuckles deep inside the nostrils, man. Connie and Malaria launch in the Hexa. Francesca gets a new beam shield on her OG victory. The two idiots are still rocking their gun blasters. They engage with the flying tires. Imagine you're in space and you see a tire fly at you. Uso grabs onto the twin rad. That is when he hears the sounds of bells. The baby is crying. That means we are going in the right direction. This baby radar works wonders. Francesca uses her beam shield, but it uses too much power. Her head is taken out. She ejects from the Gundam before it explodes, and she rides on the shield. Odello comes to save her. She tells him to give Uso the shield. Meanwhile, V2 takes down a Brecken. Lupe lures him in with her twin rad tires and sandwich him, while Lupe attacks. She says, "Remember my boobs, boy," referring to that Male Fantasy Gone Wild episode. She charges at him and says, "Kid, you're going to be inside me, damn it, or I will kill you." Uso stabs the cockpit. She makes a retreat. Arbeo is prepping the Birkenau when Lupe crashes into his mobile armor. She is on the brink of destruction. Her core is about to go off. Lupe knew it was going to blow and went back to Arbeo. The Brecken's reactor goes off, taking out Arbeo and the Lysithia-class ship. Uso thinks about Lupe's sweet tits in honor of her death. The Federation has broken through the fleet and are getting closer to Angel Halo. The White Ark team catches up to the League. Espa's defenses are far stronger than they anticipated. There are still Motorrad remnants along with Tassilo fleet on the other side of Angel's Halo. The other side contains Matemazugan and the main fleet acting as the defensive force for the superweapon. The bells that they heard wasn't just coming from the Zanuck. It also seems to be coming from Angel's Halo as well. They wonder how this weapon was built. Uso thinks that it is the Jupiter fleet moving from Earth to Jupiter. They do have intel that Fonz is originally from Jupiter and that they were restructuring under the Jupiter Republic Alliance. Of course, we know from Crossbone Ghost that Kagati was working with Jupiter to transport 100,000 immigrants to the Earth sphere. This was a lie. After Angel's Call was deemed not an effective weapon, they decided to use Angel's Halo. Uso is mad that his dad is still treating him like an outsider, but the other kids think he is being selfish. Fake Jin wants to outdo real Jin now that he isn't getting the spotlight, even though he's relatively useless. The reinforced junior crew decides, why not? Let's launch. Their mission is to engage with the outer defense fleet. The boys chit-chat over the lines and Yuka tells them to shut up. Tassilo casually touches Fala's butt. Nice, get in there. She's going to lure Uso in so they could kill him. She then goes to the hangar and finds a guy conveniently named Kill and says today is your lucky day. You get to fire the Zanuck. Relax your shoulders. Relax your shoulders, Kill. They fire over at Uso and the gang and miss. She fires again, taking out Connie's boots. They're making Uso panic and rush in. The Zanuck approaches V2, but Fala gets out of the cockpit and heads towards Uso. She tells him that Tassilo's men came to pick her up after she was launched from a cannon. It was all for show for Chronicle and Zugan. This was an attempt to drive out Kagati, but he was discovered. Oh, that's why he was sent to the Guillotine back then. After escaping, Kagati asked for Tassilo's help defending Angel's Halo. What a bold request after trying to take someone's head. Fala then flies up in her normal suit while Kill takes aim in the Zanuck. Uso didn't expect a second pilot. He dodges, but it still takes out his right arm. Fala heads back to the Zanuck where Kill says to watch out for beams. She responds by shooting Kill in the face. Your name was Kill, the writer set you up for this fate, man. That is when the Joan of Arc fleet comes in to help. Uso retreats and grabs another top and a couple of boots. He is using a technique that Walker used on him back on Earth. Uso listens for the bells. He goes high on the Zanuck while the boots go low. The boots distract her, allowing V2 to slice the Zanuck's right arm. He destroys the unit, but Fala is able to eject and flee. The White Ark preps for a long-range attack. The kids protect the ship that is going out too far on its own. They dock with the ship and finally get a visual on Angel's Halo. A team of Imperial Guard Rigshakyus investigate the White Ark. The ZM S-22SC Rigshakyu for Imperial Guard is a Rigshakyu variant designed to protect Queen Maria. This version has an added sensor on the forehead. It also has a large shoulder shield with a beam shield added, along with a metal whip. Other weapons include the Rigshakyu loadout. They pretend to be a transport ship. 2 Zanscare soldiers board the ship. Marbe says, me and my baby be transporting and shit. This inspires the Zanscare man to propose to the Zanscare lady. Nice. Now kill them, Tamino, you sick fuck. You know you want to. Marbe is pretending to be pregnant, but Shakti notes that she is actually preggo. They are escorted onto Angel Halo, where they pretended to be side chicker transporters. Uso says that they met some of these people on Earth. They were a part of the cult that spread Mariaism back at the Underhook. They're going to use these people to power a Psychomu of some kind. They also just kinda infer all of this, and it is amazing how right they are. The 2 Zanscare soldiers make their leave. The kids go, what was that all about? You think she will accept his proposal? Oh hey look, I guess so. Some of the people look brainwashed. This place is making Shakti freak out. Maria can sense that Shakti is nearby and scared. They send soldiers to find her. They want to use Shakti to help power Angel Halo. She is anxious and wants to use the device. Maria intends to use it to make everyone forget about warfare and spread peaceful brainwaves. The Imperial Rigshakyus go back and find the kids planting what looks like bombs. That is when the White Ark says, eat my spooge, and shoots a gummy substance all over the Rigshakyu's face. Otello pilots the gun blaster and takes one of the Shakyus out. Uso floats over at the Gundam after pushing Shakti out of the way. He grabs the male Zanscare pilot from earlier and tells him to surrender. The pilot gets out of the mobile suit, but is hit by space debris, causing him to stick to all that spooge. The others retreat. They now have a prisoner. But Shakti once again wants to visit her mother, so she breaks him out. This is getting old, Shakti. The 2 escape in the captured Rigshakyu. Uso, Odello, and Tamas chase the Zanscare mobile suit. While chasing, Uso hears bells. The Imperial rig Shakyus come in, followed by Fowla and the Gengauzo. The ZMT S-28S Gengauzo is a Zanscare new type-based mobile suit and uses a Seikomu system. This has the back engine unit, which is a remote weapon / subflight system that equips 5 3-barrel beam launchers. Other weapons include a beam rifle, a beam mace, and a beam shield. Fowla convinces the Imperial Guard to attack the Shakyu, thinking it is a stolen Shakyu. The two lovers fight. The man flings Shakti out of the cockpit. The two lovers end up stabbing one another. The man gets out of the cockpit and finds the woman in critical condition. It is interrupted by an explosion, and the two lovers are flung out into space, where I assume they run out of oxygen. I feel nothing for these two. This one's on you, Tomino. And if we're being honest, kind of on Shakti as well. Fowla grabs Shakti. She has a new bargaining tool, so she pieces out back to Tassilo. Shakti is once again taken. The girl demands that she is taken to Angel Halo and Chronicle. A control ship lies in the middle of Angel Halo. Kagari wants Maria to go to the Seikomu control room now that the sight checkers have been put in place. He ensures that they won't be hurt in the process. No, it's gonna hurt. A team of 3 Zolos equipped with Seikomu sensors are tasked with monitoring Angel Halo's psycho waves. Maria tells all the sight checkers to come together in prayer. While on the White Ark, Uso sees images of the past with Shakti. The team eventually launches, during which Uso is reminded of a time when he totally perved out on naked Shakti. Uso tries to abandon the mission and head back to Earth. He wants some of those shock tits and is way too laid back now. Uso goes, everyone just needs to chill out, man. Stop fighting and start vibing. The psycho waves are really affecting Uso. He finally gets a hold of himself when the 3 Zolos intervene. Thomas and Odello cover the White Ark. Good luck, Uso, you're on your own. Uso then realizes, wait a minute, this is a recap episode. He begins recapping the Shrike team's death.
Uso disassociates and thinks that Kabush's death is happening in real time.
He attacks one of the Zolos while in his delusions. Uso is tripping on too many recaps and existential dread. He thinks of Chronicle and get a few hits on the Zolo. He goes in with his beam saber. Finally, he thinks of Katajina. The Zolot takes out Odello's thrusters. He then launches his remaining booster, triggering Uso to activate the Wings of Light, taking out the remaining Zolot in the process. The sight checkers became confused, but ultimately they call it a good test run. Uso tells Marbay of the images he has been having. If he is able to break out of those images, then there is a chance. Kani went to meet up with the rest of the Shrike team over at the Joan of Arc, while Yuka helps with some of the upgrades on the Gundam. Shakti wants to meet with Chronicle. Fowla escorts her in the Gengauzo. Uso rejoins the battle in the V2 Buster Gundam. The LM-314 V-23 Victory Buster Gundam includes a large mega beam cannon, a beam spray pod mounted on the shoulders, and 6 micro missile pods. Other weapons include the typical V2 loadout. Uso fires the spray gun and takes out a Zolo. He then uses the long-range beam cannon. Shakti tells Chronicle that Maria is just a puppet for Kagari, and they are going to use the Angel's Halo as a weapon. Chronicle doesn't believe her, so she grabs his gun, shoots him in the shoulder, and says, "How about now, bitch?" Katajina grabs the gun and gives her a solid gut punch. The Shrike girls are in the midst of a battle. Uso is rushing to come and help them. He senses Marbay before sensing the bells again. Fowla comes in and attacks. Yuka and Connie push forward with Marbay right towards Tassilo's ship. Marbay ejects and crashes the Gundam into one of Tassilo's ships. The reactor goes off. Fowla takes out Uso's long-range beam rifle. She notices something is wrong with the fleet and retreats. Maria and Angel Halo begin their attempt to bring forced peace on Earth through the form of extreme lethargy. Meanwhile, Tassilo boards Angel Halo and takes Kagari prisoner. He plans on destroying his giant weapon. What did you expect? You tried to cut his head off. Chronicle takes Shakti to her mother. He tries to stop Tassilo, but he takes Maria prisoner and makes his escape. Fowla returns to Tassilo's ship while Uso chases. The two play hide and seek around Angel Halo. But now that he knows that Kagari just made her a puppet, he wants to instill her as Zanscare's true queen. He's kind of cracking, which we will see more of in the next episode. Uso is taking a lot of damage. Fowla goes in for the final attack. The psycho waves from Angel Halo are affecting the people of Earth. Their mental state will soon deteriorate into an infant-like state. There is a rapid aging element that is hinted at. When in this state of lethargy, your body ages faster, I guess? Uso and Fowla continue fighting. He ejects missile pods on the boots. They blow up on the Gingauzo, and Uso uses the wings of light to rush towards Angel Halo. Shakti was given to Kagati. He convinces Shakti to use Angel Halo to project her brainwaves. Her psycho waves are off the chart. Kagati is mad that Chronicle was hiding her for so long. The Jeanne of Arc decides to catch up with the White Arc. While still fighting Fowler, Uso can hear Maria's voice. She mentions to the boy that Angel Halo doesn't help the people of Earth like she thought it does. She was overcome by evil and allowed Tassila to take her captive. She doesn't want Shakti to be used by this weapon. Uso goes, cool. But I'm kind of in the middle of a battle right now. Fowler goes, are you talking to another woman right now in front of me? How dare you? Marbet launches from White Arc. Uso launches his boots at Fowler's face. She loses the back engine unit. Fowler is too fast for him. Marbet hears the bells. She fires a mega beam cannon. It misses. Marbet tries to fire again, but it malfunctions. She ejects her boots for Uso to use. The core fighter rushes to the Gingauzo. Fowler has a direct shot on Marbet, but she can sense that she is pregnant and hesitates. This allows Uso to slice through her legs and right arm. Uso then takes out the cockpit, killing Fowler. She awaits Mechet and death. He barely got any screen time, but the way Fowler talks about Mechet, you would think that he is a main character. Chronicle's fleet moves into position to attack the Jeanne of Arc, while the League focuses on Tillo. Uso tells Marbet to head back to the White Arc while he focuses on finding Maria. He follows her voice while the others try to find him. Hato makes a noise like R2-D2. He kind of is at the moment though. Tassila wonders how their fleets know their attack pattern. He thinks it must be Maria. He's right, but dude is just being paranoid. Odello and Tomas cover V2. Jeanne of Arc pushes forward and destroys his ship. Shukyu's retreat when the Jeanne of Arc comes in to support Uso and take down Tassila. Maria tells Tassila that all she's been doing is praying. She can't help that new types can sense one another and tells him to get his ego in check. Ooh! He says that since he survived the guillotine, he has been a dead man. Let's ride this to our graves. Meanwhile, Shakti begins sending psycho waves towards Earth with her prayers. Zugan is trying to gather all the scattered fleets around Angel Halo so they can make a path towards Earth. While everyone is fighting, Shakti is giving out thoughts and prayers. Ugh, thanks Shakti. So helpful. Tassila's Amalthea class, the Shubaten. Wait, is this the first time they said the name of the ship? It's gonna blow up this episode, isn't it? The ship is being overrun by Uso, Odello, and Tomas. Uso approaches the bridge and demands that Tassilo hand over Maria. She tells Uso, hey, this is kind of my fault. Yeah, my bad. You could just kill us both. It'll be easier. But he doesn't want to kill Shakti's mother. Tassilo makes that decision for everyone by shooting Maria in the back. This causes Shakti's brainwaves to malfunction. Uso takes out his beam saber out of anger and stabs the bridge, vaporizing Tassilo. Somehow Maria's body didn't get vaporized. She communicates to Uso from the grave to vaporize her body. He apologizes to Shakti and destroys the ship with Maria's body inside. Chronicle finds out that Maria is dead. Katarzyna doesn't want him to be rash and to take his time on making a move. On the White Arc, Carl can sense something. Uso thinks, I'm gonna take this baby out in space. He senses that Shakti is on Angel Halo. Straight up uses him like a compass and everything. But Uso proves that new types can communicate with each other, even if that new type is a baby who can't speak yet. That's kind of interesting. And they just kind of breeze right past it. The Jeanne of Arc calls an all-hands briefing. Thanks to Uso, Tassila's fleet is down, and all that remains is Zugan's fleet and the remaining Motorrad crew. They have full support of VFF now, but they don't want to wait for reinforcements. They arduously go over their plans in a montage. Uso wonders to Marbet if men go to war because they can't have children. She explains that men choose to protect those who give life. These past few episodes have been hitting heavy with the themes of motherhood. As Oliver just died, conception just happened. But Carl seems to be able to sense it. Uso feels Marbet's stomach. Kagati continues using Shakti's psycho waves. On the eve of battle, the kids play ball with Hato. What material is this Hato made of? It's so bouncy. White Arc finally launches. Uso has a new sense of duty to protect the women in his life. Katarzyna launches in the new Gaturlatan. Gaturlatan? This is an example where the Japanese name Gotorudan is way better, so I'm gonna call it that. The ZMT-S-33S Gotorudan is a high-performance Zanscare mobile suit that focuses on close combat. The unit was capable of docking with a mega beam cannon whose devastating firepower could wipe out several enemy mobile suits or cruisers in a single shot. There are 2 beam tonfas with eye fields on each hand, which emit a Minovsky particle plasma knife. Other weapons include a beam cutter in the head, a beam shield,
a 6.2 micromissile pod on the beam cannon, and a beam rifle. It also has hardpoints. She is looking for Uso on the battlefield and is able to take out a Clog-class ship with ease. Barbet and the Shrike Girls surround Uso and bring him new equipment created by Otis and the Old Men. Uso finally senses Marbet's baby. He is now equipped with the Assault upgrade. The LM-314 V-24 Victory II Assault Gundam is an enhanced version of V2 which adds reactive armor which breaks off on impact to help against projectile beam attacks. The gold adds anti-beam coating. There are 2 added eye fields in the shoulder armor that can create a beam barrier. 2 VSBRs are added to the waist, and a high-output mega beam rifle can be utilized in place of the standard beam rifle. Uso still uses the mega beam shield, which includes 3 barrier bits, which form a V. It retains the same weapon set as V2. This can be added to Hexa as well. Katagina finds the White Ark crew and begins attacking. Uso says, "Have you ever been attacked by a letter?" Marbet retreats while the others move in. Katagina fights Uso. They push back to Angel Halo. Uso rushes in, but it is a trap as everyone is waiting on the other side of the rings. The ring is hit and sidechickers go flying out. They have to be careful not to kill the new types. Yuka comes in to protect Uso. Katagina shoots the cockpit, killing Yuka. Her reactor goes off, hitting Angel Halo. Oh hey, more bodies. This won't affect a kid's long-term psychological well-being. He infiltrates Angel Halo. Inside, Katagina meets with Neneka Nikro about them stopping the Gundam. Neneka says, "Yeah, sure. But why are we half naked? Is this necessary?" "Yes. Yes." Uso enters to find Uso thinks, nah, this ain't real. So then he proceeds to kill them all brutally. Neneka fires a bazooka. Uso responds by vaporizing her with his beam saber. Brutal. Too bad none of these bitches were real. That is when Katagina piloting a gun easy comes in. It confuses Uso. She tells him that if he hates her so much, he should kill her. He calls her bluff. Luckily, she jumps out in time to make her escape before Uso stabs her. Uso breaks into the core ring to find Kagati, but Zanscare troops grab his grappling hook gun. Can that gun even kill anyone? Meanwhile, Odello and Tomas are like, hey, where did all these dead bitches come from? Hato attacks right as Odello and Tomas come in to help. They take control of the situation. This Hato is R2-D2ing so hard in this series. They find Shakti and bail her out of her prayer chamber, I guess? I'm calling it a prayer chamber. Odello wants to start blasting, but Uso tells them of the sidechickers. Angel Halo is getting dangerously close to entering Earth's atmosphere. The Reinforced Jr. is breaking through that ozone layer as well. Shakti wakes up, welches, and wakes the souls of all new types in the area before passing out again. When she wakes, she wants to go back as all the sidechickers' hearts are still connected to Shakti. Uso's dad says, check it out, since we are all doing a Star Wars, I thought I would put on this mask. The Joan of Arc is going to handle Zugan's fleet while the White Ark takes care of Angel's Halo. Hengerg doesn't care of the 20,000 sidechickers at the expense of everyone else, however. They engage once again with the remaining Zanscare fleet. Shakti does a lot of backseat driving in this episode. The Joan of Arc crew wants to kamikaze. Hengerg is like, cool, I'm out of here, and we never see him again. Chronicle launches in the Rig Contio. The ZMT S-34S Rig Contio is the replacement to the Contio and has updated specs across the board. This version has 2 beam shields, a more powerful wireless shock claw, and the variable beam rifle, which functions like a VSBR. Other weapons include a beam saber, a beam shield on both arms, a chest beam gun, and the Contio beam rifle. Uso begins fighting the remaining Motorrad fleet. Chronicle stabs the Joan of Arc bridge, killing Mubarak and the remaining crew. The Shrike team moves in ahead of Uso to protect him. Uso takes out an Adrastia. The Zanscare defense line is being broken apart. Uso moves into the center ring of Angel Halo again. He attacks this guy and then decides to talk to the others. Suck at that one guy specifically. Also, his grappling hook does look pretty effective as a weapon. Shakti wants to be allowed back into the prayer chamber. They somehow allow it. She sings her song to the world. The song annoys Katagina, and she fires at Angel Halo. Franny makes the mistake of dropping her guard for a second as Katagina pushes her into an explosion. What an unfortunately silly way to die. Don't worry, we're gonna see sillier ones. Billy rushes in and takes a beam to the cockpit by the Gotorodan. She heads inside Angel Halo to find Uso. Hato remote controls the Gundam and attacks Katagina while Uso tries once again to talk to her. At least Hato knows how to respond by this point in the series. Outside, Chronicle is trying to destroy the Reinforced Junior. Odello, Tomas, and Marbay defend the ship. Chronicle hears Katarzyna calling out to him, and he retreats. The Reinforced Junior's left engine is out. They call to evacuate the ship. Otis, Robert Gomez, and all the old men are going to crash this into their fleet. Even the lazy Jingen in him is here. He's doing stuff. They concentrate their beam shield into a beam blast and fire. The bridge is taken out by a Gedlab in the process. Particles begin emitting from Angel Halo. The ring begins breaking apart. Sidecheckers are helping her. Uso and Chronicle finally meet on the battlefield and begin fighting. Connie comes to back up Uso, but Katarzyna shoots her Hexa in the back. She says she won't let her interfere and shoots down Connie. Bye, Connie. You were my favorite, so I'm happy you were the last to go. As Chronicle and Uso fight, Katarzyna says, I'm going to let this play out. Let's just see who wins. Everything is falling apart. Kagati wonders if the Sidecheckers turned on him, which shows that Shakti and Maria were really just a vessel for the Sidecheckers, and they hold all the power. As Angel Halo falls apart, Chronicle and Uso continue fighting. It is a really good set piece that they don't use too much. Uso is knocked to the ground, but Odello attacks Chronicle, causing him to retreat. Zugan's ship accidentally hits part of the ring. Whoops, I'm sure those Sidecheckers will be fine. Oh, I'm just thinking of Tetaneth Dogati from Crossbone Gundam. They were working behind the scenes to make the Sidecheckers Jovian citizens. Someone's probably in her ear going, Your Majesty, we just lost another 1,000. Kagati heads back to Angel Halo. That is when Joan of Arc comes rushing in. Everyone is dead, but the ship has enough momentum to blow its core, taking out Zugan. Odello, Tomas, and Uso refer to each other as brothers before splitting up. Tomas and Odello run into Katarzyna and begin fighting. The particles from Angel Halo begin emitting once again. Katarzyna attacks Odello, leaving his mobile suit dead in the water. He could hear his father's voice before he blows up. Uso rushes in with his beam saber and tells him that hate will never come out on top. He slices through the rig Contio and it crashes onto Angel Halo. He falls out of his mobile suit. He has a moment where he sees his sister and then just plump. But he crashes right into debris without a second to breathe. No emotional beat whatsoever. They just cut to commercial. To Mino, this emotional moment was hilarious, and I don't think that was the intent. Kagati sees Ghost Maria and tries to shoot her. Angel Halo begins forming into something new. Katarzyna rushes over to Uso and says that he won, and she wants him to kill her. It is a trap to get in close, and she ganks him right in the side. The power boner is so strong with this kid that he loses a sense of self-preservation every time. Carl begins crying, but suddenly he cries out for Shakti. He spoke. Uso and Katarzyna meet inside the core ring. They have a standoff, but Uso has the power of friendship, and more importantly, the wings of light. He activates it and breaks apart the core. And that concludes the fight with Katarzyna. That was anticlimactic. The Gundam begins losing power. Angel Halo begins ascending back up into space. But out of the sky comes Shakti. She didn't even need your help, Uso. And look, she's still in the prayer room, back in Casarelia. The gang adds a bunch more graves to the gravesite. Marbay's pregnancy is coming along. Shakti is doing laundry when she runs into a beggar looking for help. It happens to be Katarzyna, blind and possibly with memory loss or amnesia. Every decision Katarzyna has made has been in her own self-interest, and in the end, it got her here. A few different choices in life, and she could have been another one of the heroes of this story. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Victory Gundam. I don't know about this one. The old men going out was kind of a bigger emotional moment than Uso's final arc. The mobile suits aren't as inspiring as what we are seeing in Crossbone Gundam. And Zanscare just wasn't developed like the evil factions of the past. I'm really conflicted on this one, but what this series did best that no other series has done is its focus on the dichotomy of life and death, specifically focusing on motherly love and birth, which is fascinating. I wished we focused more on this aspect, but knowing Tomino, we would find a way to make it weird. I mean weirder. Now that we have completed Victory Gundam, guess what we are doing next? But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, there is a mommy in all of us. Peace.